Welcome to Fire Breathing Kittens, an actual play podcast. Every episode microplot is a complete adventure with a beginning and an end that fits into the overarching macro plot of the whole season. Because they stand sturdily on their own, you can listen to these adventures in any order and can skip any you don't enjoy. Today, we are playing using the mechanics from 24-Hour Crime Scene by William Long. It's our first time playing, so we might make some mistakes. If you enjoy these mechanics, you can find 24-Hour Crime Scene at longgames.itch.io. Build your own 24-Hour Crime Scene game and play with friends. Speaking of friends, today we are joined by Armando Contenza Bilazno de Medici.
That is, you say almost perfect, I must say. That is excellent. So, yes, my name is Armando Contenza Bilazno de Medici. I am a human being. I'm about 31 years old. Let's see. I am a fabulous sword fighter. I have like very dark brown hair, it looks black almost, but it is brown, to my shoulders. I got a giant mustache. It is very handsome. My skin tone is light, like a cream color. Not like super white cream like you put in coffee or something like that, but like if you are painting and it is a fresco, it's more like that. Anyway, my eyes are a amber color. I am about 6'2", 165 pounds, very lean, and traditionally I wear like a white shirt, a leather vest, some leather pants and leather boots because I am a sword fighter. I want to be very loose, very capable. But lately they have me wearing like a orange jumpsuit. So I'm wearing more like an orange jumpsuit right now. It does not feel very natural, but I'm getting used to it. It's not too bad. You know, it's temporary. I think, I certainly hope so. So that is me.
Anne Jopling.
Hi, I'm actually Anne Jopling, in the body of Sadie Duca. A Macritus elf with ears as wide and flat as the horizon and silver hair, and they tell me I'm 700 years old, but I've only been in here for a few months. And then from the player's perspective, I'm going to be learning 10 vocab words today, because I will finally understand Shakespeare plays, maybe after playing this character. My 10 vocab words for the day are: bosky means wooded, Eliads are amorous glances, hit together is when you agree, ingraft is habitual, Lemon is a sweetheart, Mazard is a head, Reachy is smoky or foul, Spongy is saturated with liquor, aka drunk, Slubber is to make a mess of, and Veiling is lowering.
All right. And joining us, I believe, for the first time is Nasty McIntyre.
Hey, what's going on? What's good? I'm Nasty McIntyre. I'm an albino orc. I'm also a little on the shorter side. I'm like 3'8". I typically wear just whatever I can find. Like today, I'm wearing kind of a ratty blue bathrobe. This bucket hat I found. It's nice. It keeps the sun off my pale skin. I don't know. I couldn't find no shoes today, so it's probably gonna suck a little bit, but hey, we take these days too, you know. I'm sure they're just as important somehow. In case you weren't able to pick up from the context clues, I live in a garbage heap, and you know that's how I like it.
All right. Point of information, Armando, are you currently incarcerated?
Not technically. So, as it turned out, like I write a confession to being implicated. Anyway, it's a long story. If you like to listen to previous episodes, I believe it is called Telenovela Verde, and I get to, I'm in the custody of, the court, and so they don't want me to run away, but I have what you call honor, so I'm not going to run away, but they insist I wear this orange jumpsuit anyway.
Excellent. All right. Well, the three of you are enjoying a lazy late afternoon with nothing planned. The weather is beautiful. You are in the Fire Breathing Kittens Guild Hall. What are you doing with this lazy afternoon together?
I'm still kind of new, so like I'm a little bit standoffish. I don't really know nobody. So I'm just kind of making myself at home. I'm rummaging through the trash, seeing what good stuff people have overlooked. I'm sure there's like new stuff, but I'm new, so I don't want to be assuming too much and helping myself to all the nice new stuff when it's like, hey, you ain't earned your keep yet. So I'm just going through the trash.
Okay. The door opens to the guild hall, and I bring in a wheelie wagon, which has a lot of clinking glass bottles on it. And I say, Nasty, discard that reachy offal. Come join me in a sampling of the goods this world has to offer. I have access to Sadie's bank account. I have left the household that she was living in. I've set myself up with all of the privileges that her bank account could offer. I've got my own apartment, and I went to the liquor store. Who wants to try things?
Discard what?
Okay, continue eating. All the new foods are glorious here.
I see the wheelbarrow filled with glass bottles, and traditionally I do not partake in alcohol because it dulls my senses. But my ethers have been confiscated temporarily for security reasons, which is I feel naked practically without these ethers. So I don't have like a lot of training to do. I'm a little sad. So I say, why not? Life is to be lived, right? So I go over to who I call Sadie because I meet with Sadie and we do adventures before many times. I say, Sadie, this is not like you, but I appreciate what you're trying to do. But why? What's going on?
Oh,
Sorry. I was just gonna say, your whole vibe's a little bit weird. You're like referring to you're referring to yourself in the third person. I'm not used to people doing that.
I am a third person. Well, a second. Don't worry, I won't slubber her body or anything like that. Everything's going to be
her
pristine.
Body?
Yes, so I'm
Sounds
Anne.
more like you're the fourth person.
No. I'm Anne. I'm a spirit occupying the dormant body of Sadie because she's very shy and got a little bit overwhelmed by life and has taken a repose deep inside herself. I'm going to show her a good time and show her that she needs to come back out, party, live it up, be herself, not be afraid. I decided to start with alcohol.
So what happens to you, like if she decides to come back and live it up, like you were saying? What happens to you?
I get out like this documentation that I have like laminated and carry a copy with me at all times. I've got so many copies. I hand you a copy and I'm like, I technically have the legal right to possess this body. See, my paperwork's all filled out up until Sadie wants it back. And then hopefully I'll get my own. We'll deal with that when it happens. But right now, if I were to leave this body, she'd just lay there and that would be bad. So we got to feed her, got to walk her around, got to eat stuff, drink stuff, and teach her how to not be afraid.
You sound like a very responsible pet owner.
I put a bottle of Fireball on the bar and I'm like, Newsy, this is for you, for the bar.
So, you're not Sadie. What do we refer to you as? What do we call you? I didn't catch that.
You may call me Anne.
All right.
Okay,
Anne?
I can do that. Anne? It's nice to meet you, I guess. Sorry. I love your bathrobe, by the way. Where do you get such a beautiful, outerwear? That is much better than what I am wearing.
It just comes to me, like I wake up, I look around, and there's the bathrobe. Guess that's what I'm wearing today.
That sounds like a luxurious life, I must say.
I agree. I think most people might take issue with the word luxury, but you're on the right track.
I'm not a classist or whatever. If you were super rich, that is okay with me, okay? I have no prejudice against you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So I look through the barrel. I find a bottle of yin, Yin, and so I pour myself a little bit. I smell it. It's very aromatic and floral, and so I take a little nip and I say, "That is very nice."
Sadie, have you ever tried this one before? And I pour some gin in a glass and I sample it. Sad face.
I thought that was Anne. I whisper to Nasty. I say,
"Oh no, I'm speaking to the inward Sadie.
Oh,
trying to
you
get
are
her
not
to come
saying
out.
that out loud?
I'm-
Because that
I'll
would be
just-
very uncomfortable for me. Let me just tell you.
I did say it out loud, but don't worry. I'm just trying to get her to enjoy life. Yeah, sorry.
Can Sadie hear? Or like, what's going on?
Officially, she can hear everything that's going on.
I thought you said, like, if you left her body just lie there. That sounds like a comatose state to me.
Yes.
So, but she's, like, aware? She's, like, cognizant?
She's
that
been
the word?
watching everything I've been doing. And that's why she signed this paperwork. Can I give you a copy? That
It's
I'm allowed to
laminated.
steer the
See?
ship.
I hold mine up. It's laminated. It's going to be okay.
I have a lawyer. It's all good.
So as you start pouring some drinks and start day drinking, really, Nilasag, the proprietor of the Fire Breathing Kittens Guild Hall, comes over a package that is wrapped in brown paper. On the outside is attached a note. It is written in a script that none of you can read.
No way. Is that a brown paper package tied up with strings?
Yes, it is.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Hey, how'd you know that?
I
Well,
tried
who's
to...
gonna go on? You gonna open it? That's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask who's gonna open it. Sounds like you the one with the initiative here. Go for it.
Well, I was trying to look at the note because I appreciate language. I try to master as many as I can. And so I'm so unfamiliar with this. I'm putting it up to the light to see maybe I'm looking at it different, or maybe the ink is faded, or I turn it upside down, like maybe my... And then I put the yin down because it's like, look, I drink too much if I cannot already read.
What languages does Armando read?
So I was educated because my parents were very well-to-do. They tried to... I dabble in Elvish a little bit, and I can speak a common. But that is pretty much it. I was not as concerned with the book learning as much, like a mathematic science. I was more focused on the martial lessons, like sword fighting.
So the script is a little bit of more of a scrawling, almost pictographic language, definitely not related to Elvish or Common.
Okay, I say, hey, I don't know what this is all about. Can any of you read this? And Nulisa, you're right here giving me this note. Why do you give us a note that is not like in a language that we understand?
He shrugs and says, I don't know, it just arrived.
Just real quick. Speaking of notes, my auntie, she wrote a note here on my hand. I was supposed to read it off to you guys when I got here. I'm not sure what it says. Can one of you tell me what it says?
It says, I have to squint a little bit. It says, my name is Nasty. Set something, I will, something. And I drink too much gin. I'm going to sit down for a little bit.
I can see it.
Well, let's not-
The player can read it, but the character can't read.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Maybe I'll just whisper into Armando's ear. Hold it up again. Armando, it says, my name is Nasty. Set boundaries, or I will assault.
Assume
Assume there aren't any.
Oh, okay. It says that you are a wonderful young man and that we should be good friends and that I should probably introduce myself. My name is Armando Contenda Villano de Medici. You can just call me Armando, though. That is a mouthful. I need to ask you a question. Please do not be insulted by this question. Is your name Nasty or is your personality nasty? Or both?
That is a strong both. Definitely both. Yeah, I named myself. I grew up on the streets, and people gotta call you something. And I was pretty proud of being Nasty, so let's go with Nasty. And then the surname came later, once I met Auntie McIntyre.
That makes sense. Okay, well, your auntie loves you very much, according to this note, as far as I can tell. So,
How much did she write on there? You suddenly know a lot about me.
well, I read between the lines. Like, I could not read the lines, but I read between the lines, and yes, so it's all figured out.
That's like
So-
That's like real impressive. You must be real smart.
I don't know what to say. Yes, I will accept your compliment. So here is what I suggest. I think whatever this note has in store and whatever this package is, we should pursue because Nulesa gives us the job, and we are adventurers after all, no? So you join us, and we will solve whatever problem there is before us. Huh? I have every confidence we can do it.
Well, I didn't have anything else planned for the day, so sign me up.
Perfect.
Say Anne. It's Anne, right?
I'm out and proud.
Could you read this?
Oh, yeah. I hail from a land of not much literacy.
And yet you's walking around with that fancy shiny piece of paper saying it lets you inhabit that body and you can't even read it? Armando, what's that paper say?
Oh, well, so like in this world, I don't know if you are familiar with the services of a lawyer, but you can pay people to read things for you. Like if this is too long to read, you say, hey, I pay you a lot of money and you read this for me. You tell me if it's good or not. And they say, no problem. And so
Are
that's
you my
what
lawyer? Do I need to pay you for reading the note on my hand?
No, well, I don't know if you are contractually obligated to pay me some kind of deposit or whatever. I'm still trying to figure out lawyers myself.
Armando's trying to make bail.
Yes, honestly, I am. But let's just start the exploratory portion of the relationship, and then we see where we go from there. As far as her laminated card, which I have right here, is very nice. She has been called into question if she is, sane, like if she is right in the head, and this lawyer says yes, she is sane. So it's just proof to people who can read that she is sane, that's all.
Yeah, and it is legit. That's from the episode The Party Gets Real. I hired a lawyer to do the paperwork that this ghost is allowed to inhabit this body. It has the body's consent. It's helpful. You know, it's like a hireable thing for coma patients that your muscles won't atrophy.
Well, I appreciate you taking care of Sadie. Yeah. So here is a question for us. One, how do we get what is on this paper into a language we understand? And two, who wants to open this package? Carefully, I might add. Let's try to be careful because we don't know what's inside.
I was thinking maybe it's like the note is in like a code, and maybe like the thing for us to help know what it says is inside the package.
The key.
Like a decoder ring or something? I like that idea. I will open the package. I will untie it, but like very, very carefully. And I will admire the knot, the bow that is on there. Like, ooh, this is very a fine... Whoever wrapped this did a spectacular job. And I untie it, and I carefully unwrap it.
Whoever tied that knot clearly subscribed to the if it's tangled enough, it counts philosophy of knot making, because it is a tangled mess.
Well, I gotta agree with you, Armando. That's the most beautiful knot I have ever seen.
One thing I like to do on the side, it is a peculiar habit of mine, is I like to find like a very tightly wound knot and just try to pick at it and undo the knot. And so the more tangled it is, the more interesting I find it, because I could just use my slight dexterity to loosen here and there until it is all unwound. And so This is a dream for me.
Well,
so
look at you. You're a regular maniac McGee.
It takes you a little while, but eventually you untangle the knot and unwrap the package. Inside is a
What's
device.
in the box?
Inside is a device of obvious goblin manufacture. It looks like someone described a gnomish astrolabe to a 5-year-old, and then the 5-year-old took out her crayons and drew it, badly, possibly while drunk. It is a mess of gold and runes and glowy crystal bits.
That's even more beautiful than the knot. I gotta be honest with you.
I am very confused. Like, it seemed like this thing... I know modern art is interpretive, and so, like, I just don't get it. Like, I think this is a piece of art that I just do not understand. I prefer the classic, like the marble sculpture and the oil painting that is of something real, like a person or a tree.
And just then, the object begins to shift and move and glow bright and bright and brighter still until your vision is just filled with bright white light blindingly. And when your vision clears, you find yourselves inside what appears to be some sort of break room, and you are all wearing uniforms, dark gray, grayish blue uniforms.
Oh, my sensitive red eyes.
I died again.
There's a window that shows it is dark outside. Armando, you are not wearing an orange jumpsuit. You are also wearing this uniform. And there's a floor-length mirror. And when you all look into it, when you look at each other, you see each other. When you look in the mirror, you see someone else's face and body in these uniforms. Nasty, what do you look like? Your new form. Oh, and Nasty, you would definitely recognize. Actually, I think all of you would recognize. These are the uniforms of the Nicomoy Town Guard.
Nasty's current body is an elf, which is, it's a little weird for him. Short for an elf, they're like, maybe 5'5", but that's way taller than Nasty's ever been. So he's not, he wouldn't admit it to nobody, but he's kind of excited about that. Like a very angular, handsome face, but the hair is like real greasy and kind of bedraggled. Clearly, this guy has not been having an easy time of things.
And what do you look like?
A dark-skinned elf? And she sighs in relief and she's like, thank goodness I'm not a cat again. To give up an elf's lifespan for a cat was rough. I have bad news for you all. We've died again. It seems that every time we die, in my presence, everyone with me gets transported to a new body. We've done it before and we became cats. We're doing it this time, and I guess now we're pigs.
So, are you Anne or Sadie?
Still Anne, no longer Sadie. Sadie just got exploded in the white light.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, you're dead. I'm sorry.
Armando, what do you look like?
So this is very uncomfortable for me because what I see in the mirror is a lady. And it is a lady like a demon king lady. And she has like a red skin and a black hair. And her eyes are like all black with no sclera. And she's like a 5'8", so shorter than I am used to. But it's like, I'm very off-put. It's like, this is not the body. But number one, the body is uncomfortable. But number two, the outfit is a big improvement. Like, this is much better than the orange jumpsuit, And I turn to Nasty and I say, which one of you is... I recognize Nasty because I see Nasty, or like...
Yeah, you all see each other when you look directly at each other.
I say, hey, that's an upgrade, right? Like the clothes?
Your clothes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, jumpsuits are kind of practical, but they're a bit of an eyesore. Even I think they're kind of upsetting to the eye.
Well, I'm very happy to be wearing something different, but like the body I am inhabiting is very strange.
There is also
honestly, it suits you.
There is a weapon rack on the wall. Should you wish to arm yourselves as members of the town guard.
What kind of weapons?
Your standard assortment of swords and cudgels and small knives and things. It's nothing like too powerful or anything, and they're not well maintained, but they'll do the job.
What else is like in the room? What sort of room are we in that would have a weapons rack?
So you look around and you see some lockers that floor like the mirror. There's like a rather dirty sink. It looks like the break room of a police precinct.
Well, that's got to be kind of awkward for you, eh? Better hope nobody recognizes you, Armando.
Well, I don't even recognize myself, to be honest with you. Like, look in the mirror, it is somebody else. So I'm going to use it to my advantage, and I'm going to...
Find your paperwork and get rid of it.
Well, let's not. I have honor, okay? We just met, but you need to understand something.
Find the paperwork and I'll get rid of it.
Hey, no. I appreciate you are trying to be a friend to me, but I am not afraid to face what I need to face. But this will allow me to maybe investigate what's going on a little bit without the complication of my current disposition. You know what I'm saying? So, on that note, I'm going to walk over to the weapon rack and find the finest rapier. Although it may not be like the quality I'm used to, I will try to look for the best one. And I'm looking down the shafts of every sword because I am an expert at swords. So I'm going to find the best one, and I put it like right in the sheath, right on my waist.
Yeah, you find the very best that they have here, which you, in your previous life, might have felt comfortable using it as a prying bar for opening something, but otherwise this is far inferior. It is a good thing that the mark of a swordsman is in himself and not his tools. All right.
I pick up a mace before we move on.
Yeah, great.
I want a spiked ball on a long chain.
All right, you have one. Okay.
Nasty forgoes all weapons. Not really his style.
Excellent.
Maybe, well, hold on, wait a minute. Would you prefer like a shield or something? Like you can protect yourself at least.
A what? A chill?
A shield, you know, like you put on your arm.
Oh, a shield.
Yes, a shield.
I'd rather just run away, frankly. Conflict? Not big on conflict.
Nasty, you are currently wearing shoes.
What?
Nice.
Okay.
Do you think I can keep these?
Yeah,
So-
I'm keeping them.
feet.
I'm wearing feet too. I'm sorry, someone said feet, and I wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, you can keep the feet.
Can't. I don't want the feet. I want my feet.
Oh, well, that
All right.
again exploded. But I think
These
I put
feet
down
are
the
way
mace.
too big.
If we explode, there will be a chunks of us like everywhere.
Yeah,
I see no
So
chunks.
then it should be a cinch to go retrieve my old feet then.
I mean,
There's
assuming
the
that is what
guild hall.
happened, yes, but I don't think that is what happened.
I can go and get my old feet and display these shoes on them. And then I can admire them on my feet, what they would look like without having to bend over.
You know, I
So
have a
while you're
friend that
talking about feet and shoes, you hear a commotion out in the outer room, and you go to the doorway and see a man wearing livery of a noble house. Armando, does your family have a particular color scheme that they use?
yes, it is green and silver.
Okay. He is wearing green and silver. And he says, I'm here to report a murder. Armando, you recognize this man. His name is Joseph Arturo Filosofano, and you haven't seen him in about about 10 years or so.
I say,
He
Joseph.
was a servant of your family's, very loyal.
So I recognize him right away. And I say, Joseph, you have not aged. I have not seen you in forever. What is happening? What murder are you talking about?
He looks at you and he says, I'm sorry, officer, do I know you?
I look at myself in the gray suit. I say, maybe. But your reputation precedes you. You know, you are very well known in the community, right? I try to remember back to how well known he is, and I think, yes, people know him. He is the servant of my parents, so it's like everybody knows him. I don't know what he's doing ever since then, so like why he showed up in a police precinct, town guard precinct. Maybe nobody knows him now. I say, I thought I remember you from a long time ago. Anyway, what is your concern, citizen?
My master Arturo and Maria Belasno de Medici have been murdered.
So, at this news, like I get as stiff as a board, and although my skin is red, it turns into like a light pink, like cause the blood flow out of my face, and I am just like mortified, shocked, because these are my parents that murder, and I'm reliving this event over again, and it is unbelievable I am here. And I say, I think, let me direct you to the head of homicide, and I point to Nasty.
Yeah. That's me. I'm I'm the head of homicide. What manner of weapon was used in this homicide? It wasn't a brown paper package tied up with strings, was it? Because I've been hearing there's been a lot of brown paper package related homicides going around lately.
I don't think so. I went to bring them a kettle of tea before they went to sleep this evening, and when I came into the room, there was so much blood, and I think they were stabbed. And
I'm not the stabbing exploit. That's gonna be this officer right here. She's head of stabbings. I'm head of homicide. There's a subtle difference. She's head of stabbings.
I put down the mace and I approach the witness and I offer them. I offer like hand gesture to guide them into a room that has like a coffee machine and some hot tea, and I say, "Please tell us what you saw."
Don't give them tea.
Caffeine.
That's what
all
got
the caffeine.
them killed last time.
So as I was saying, I entered the room. There was so much blood and things were disturbed in there. I walked over and I checked both of them. They were both definitely dead. And I left the room and I locked the door. Master Arturo and I are the only ones who have copies of the key. And I left a boy to watch the door to make sure no one tried to get in. And then I came right here. To my knowledge, the room has not been disturbed. I left. It takes about a half hour to get here from the estate, but I think it would be good for you to come and perhaps see what happened. See if you could find out who would have committed such a horrible thing.
Your crime scene preservation instincts are to be applauded. Applauded, my good sir. This is a guy, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Please. I notice that they're a little bit bloody, and I offer them the sink that's in this room. And I say, help yourself to our amenities and stay here while we investigate this heinous act.
As head of homicide, I'm going to have to insist that you hand me the jacket. Don't wash the blood off it. That's what's the word?
Evidence.
Oh, yeah,
that's evidence. Yeah, we're going to
Go.
need your jacket and your
That's true.
shoes.
Yeah, we're going to need your clothing, but you can wash your hands. Do we
have,
collect the hand blood?
Can we ask him for his hands?
Do we collect the hand blood?
No, that's nasty. You don't want him touching like all the break room up and getting all bloody and everything.
All right. This is awkward. Okay. Hey, we have spare clothes here for this exact purpose. We're going to give you a fresh, clean set. You can take a shower after the other people who are in charge of collecting evidence see you. I'm going to hand you off to them now.
Yeah, no, you guys are.
Where's the head of
it
collecting
because it is
evidence?
night shift. So there's hardly anybody on
it's just
shift.
us.
You're it. There is a desk sergeant who is who just got back to the front desk. Is actually why it's why Joseph would like just kind of came through. But he just got back to his post and he says looks like you guys got a case.
Oh, God, I'm going to need your fingernail scrapings. I'm going to need your... Okay, we're going to process you. It's going to lead to your comfort eventually, and we promise that everything's going to be okay. But I'm going to need to scrape the gunk from under your fingernails and collect your clothes and have you change clothes. And I'm very sorry. We're going to have to photograph... What?
Hair clippings.
Hair clippings.
Fingernails, clothes, hair clippings.
And we're going to have to photograph any injuries on your body at this time.
Toe jam if you got any.
Don't
Need your toe jam.
injuries.
We're going to have to determine that. An officer of your same gender and, what are you, a human? Yeah, a human male officer will inspect you for... Do we have one? Hey, guys, anybody got a human around here?
Not only...
Crap.
I'm clearly not a human.
Nah,
I'm not
well,
a guy.
Nasty, you're the closest we got. I mean, Officer Wayland. Officer Wayland, I'm going to need you to investigate...
Officer
the
Waylon
private
Jones at your service.
do the private inspection, and then we'll get you comfy. We'll get you in a room. You're not going to be able to leave here until we just stay. We'll give you some updates, and we're gonna go investigate right now.
I don't think you'll be able to get into the room without me.
Yeah, we're gonna need your key.
Just
No,
leave it in your
Oh
jacket
no! Wait!
pocket.
I find my voice. I've been like a stunned this whole time and like hearing the high pitch wee in my ears like the whole time because I am a shock. And I say, no, wait. He's right. We must forego like the traditional evidence collection. We must go right now. The crime scene is fresh. We need to follow the trail right away. It's night shift. Nobody's gonna find out until morning anyway. It's fine. We get the clothes over there. He can like get his hair cut and his nails done or whatever at the scene of the crime.
But okay, so this butler has a key, a physical key, right?
Yeah.
Can we have it?
We can, but then we have to ask him questions, right?
We'll lock him up in a holding cell. No contact with anybody.
This guy can ask him questions.
Ma'am, no offense, but no one at the estate is going to allow you access without a trusted member of the household.
No one at the estate is gonna let the cops in?
No, you
Yes.
don't understand. This is the like high rollers. I know this family, the Constanza Villano de Medici family. This is I whisper to Nasty and Anna, say, these are my parents, and they were murdered like 11 years ago, and for some reason we are back 11 years, and it is happening right now. And so what I do is I take out a pair of shackles, which I assume is on my belt because I'm a town guard, and I shackle one on my wrist and the other on the wrist of Joseph. I say, okay, you are in my custody. You take us to the room.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
And the two of you are in my custody, and I shackle myself to Armando.
Am I in the middle? So I am in like...
Yeah, you're in the middle.
I have no access to my authority that I carefully pick out. That's okay.
You can. I'll just have to move my arm with you.
Okay. That is perfect.
I also have the key right here.
Oh, good.
While you're
stop
trying to
this
run
whenever
away.
I want.
Don't lose the key.
All right. So he takes you to his carriage, which has the family crest of the Medici family, and it is about a half
the what
hour.
family?
De Medici.
Yeah, that's correct. That is the abbreviated way to say it.
Armando. Continue.
It is the GM explaining the universe. It's okay. It's not like somebody is insulting me directly or anything.
So it is about a half hour carriage ride to this mansion out in Elysian Fields, which is kind of the very nice part of Nicomoy, outside of Nicomoy. And he leads you in, and because he is with you, the servants are, they're deferential and get out of your way. He takes you upstairs to a hallway where there is a young boy. He's about 8 or 9 years old, who has been sitting in the hallway watching the door. And the boy stands up and he says, "Joseph, what happened? Are you under arrest?"
No, he is not under arrest, but he is a person that we are very curious to find information from. And I want to guarantee that we can get into this crime scene at the town guard. We take our job very seriously, and we are familiar with the stature of the victims, and we want to make sure that this is processed immediately.
So the boy's eyes go wide when you say crime scene, and he says, "Crime scene? Joseph, nobody went into the room like you asked, and nobody came out. Can I go back to the kitchens now?"
We'll be asking the questions here.
Like, what is your name, young man?
I'm Oliver, and Armando, you remember there was a lad named Oliver. He worked in your family's household. He was you don't remember if he had much family or if his family also worked for the house too, but he was like a servant kid.
There is nothing to be concerned about, Oliver. We will make sure. We think it is probably like a theft or something like that. Everything will be fine. And I put my hand on the little boy's shoulder, like as a comforting gesture, and say, "But of course I gotta drag Nasty with me." And it's like, "Hey, help me put my Put my hand on the shoulder.
I put my hand on his shoulder too.
Yeah. So like two hands on the either shoulder, mine and Nasty on the both shoulder of the boy, and say it's gonna be okay. And then we
Okay. Thanks. Great. So can I go now?
Joseph, he's free to be released if you are okay with this.
No, Oliver is asking if he can go.
Oh, who
Yeah.
is he asking us?
Yeah.
I'm fine. Like, yeah. It would be
Okay.
better if you go, like, play with it. I know you enjoy playing with a little wagon. I mean, not that I'm a stalker. This is really weird now that I'm thinking it's coming out of the person's mouth. Yeah, you should go play.
Okay. And he was sort of nervously like looking over his shoulder as he walks away down a hallway and heads downstairs. Joseph is just standing there kind of looking a little bit embarrassed, honestly. And he says, well, I will let you into the room now. And he, dragging the arm that is attached to Armando, pulls out a key and opens the bedroom door.
Okay. I will
And what
insist
you
that we...
see-
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
As he opened the door, like before I see anything, I would like to say, let us all go in and you close this door and you lock it.
He holds up the arm that is shackled to your arm, sir, ma'am.
Yes, please. It's okay. I've heard worse.
And he gestures
I'm
at the
pretty
shackle.
sure we're all sir when we're in uniform.
I would
Would you like me to close the door on your arm?
No, after we
Here,
all
or-
enter, all of us come in, and then
I
you
see.
close the door. You understand how doors work, right? I'm not gonna like. This isn't we.
I thought you were going to ask me to wait outside, but that's fine.
No. We are all here to investigate. We
Why
want
you
you
want to wait
here.
outside, huh?
Yeah, you need to be here. We have a question for you.
Okay. So the four of you walk into the room, and what you see is a definitely a crime scene. There are two bodies, one male, one female, lying in a double bed with obvious stab wounds in their chests, and beyond them, an open window. There are papers that have been scattered around the floor, as well as perhaps some other physical evidence. There's a couple of dressers and a desk. There's a chair that's been overturned. You do see that there's a tray with two teacups and a kettle of what is now cold tea water that is on the floor, basically in front of the door where Joseph obviously dropped it. There's a couple of the papers appear to have been walked on, and Joseph says, "Yes, I'm afraid I stepped on a few papers as I approached the bed." And as you look around, and Joseph has said that they were both dead when he came in. He claims he hasn't moved anything. He says, "I didn't do a very thorough look around the room, but it doesn't look like anything's been changed." And he tells you that they went upstairs to retire, to get ready for bed about 3 hours before he came up with the tea. So roughly 4 hours ago. He found them about an hour ago. It's roughly 30 minutes there from there to the precinct. Another thing that you will find when you investigate and ask servants and so forth is that there is a tiny platinum statue of a fox that is the only thing that has been that they can tell has been removed from the estate. That window is open, and yeah, I think that's about it. And there's, as I said, many papers scattered around the rooms, ledgers, documents of all kinds.
Can I get a better timeline? So it's currently what time?
It's currently, we'll say a little bit after 9 p.m.
Okay, so it's currently 9, and it was 6 when they went to bed? Or was
And
it
no,
5?
it's about 5 that they went upstairs.
Okay. And it was 8 when they were discovered.
And it was 8 when they discovered when he came in to bring them tea.
You said a statue of a fox? Was that statue in this room?
The last I knew of it, yes.
How, like big old statue? We talking
No,
like a
it's
little
small.
bust?
It's a little statuette.
All right.
Where was it normally stored? I ask as if I don't already know.
It in the desk.
Would all these papers have been in the desk too?
Yes.
Can we handcuff Joseph to like the hallway outside and have a private conversation?
Yes.
We can handcuff him to the doorknob.
There we go. We'll know if you go anywhere, Joseph, the doorknob will rattle.
You understand, ma'am, I came to you. I have no intention of running off until this heinous crime is solved.
Oh no, the chain of evidence protects you. Because you were handcuffed, we know that you can't leave and wash evidence off. It protects you as an innocent party. It's for your protection that we're doing this.
I understand.
We don't just make up rules as we go along. Who do you think we are?
So the key to the shackle that I put on Joseph's wrist is in my other pocket. So I have to like get the help of Nasty to get my hand in my pocket where the key is, and then I take that out, and then
The keys are
move.
interchangeable. Take mine.
Oh, that would have saved me so much time. Why you?
Handcuffs?
Okay. Well, anyway, now I have 2 pair copy of the key, and I put one in mine.
I trust you. I don't need one.
So I unlock it from my wrist, but he still have a shackle on his wrist. I drag him gently but firmly to the door on the other side and put it on the doorknob. And I say, "We'll be right back. You are not trapped. Everything will be fine." And I close the door, and I say, "Okay, and what do you want to know?"
You know these people, Armando? You seem real familiar, and that your last name's Medici, right? And that's their last name. Do you know these people?
This is my former house. Okay, so let me paint a picture for you.
I did not pick up on that before.
No, that's okay. It is not probably what you expected to do today when you were waking up with your blue bathrobe. Okay. So I was born into a family that was very rich and very powerful, and my father was like a councilman, very greedy, very corrupt. My mother was like a model, and she have her own fashion line. But she is a ruthless business person. Like both of them fit together like a hand and a glove. They only want power. They only want money, and they were perfect. And that is a world that it disgusts me. I do not want that at all. I am only a man who seeks to do what is right. I have a few misgivings in my past, to be honest. But what happened is, we are back in a time on the night of their murder. And so the younger me of 11 years ago left about 2 weeks ago. And so I was living on my own ever since. And 2 weeks after that I leave, my parents are killed in their bed. And I point to the bodies and I say, that is them right there. I know them very well. And I'm shaking a little bit because it is a lot to take in. Like I never see their bodies before in dead. And this is, it's like I'm facing a consequence, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very heavy for me. And so I need to sit down, and I sit down on the floor. I say, there was a misunderstanding where I thought they killed my mentor, Emil. He is like a true father to me. And I thought they killed him. And so I leave, and I did contract somebody to kill them. And apparently, maybe the assassin did it. I don't know. I don't know who it was. But maybe this is
now we're going to find out.
This is my second chance to find out. I don't know.
All right.
So you did hire a person to kill your parents?
Yes, it is the most dishonorable thing I ever do in my life. But you must understand that I thought they killed my mentor, the only good shining light in my life. And I lost control. Every time Emil talks about self-control and how it is the key to freedom, discipline is equal to freedom, I lose it all. And in a rage, I contract somebody to kill them because I am too cowardly to kill them myself.
I mean, can we like ask them who did this? I mean, and like body swapping's your whole thing, right? Can you just like go in there and be like, hey, I got a contract or whatever? Like, hey, you got to tell me who evicted you from your previous place of residence. Is that how that works?
I wish I was like a medium, but I'm actually just okay, so you know Mary, the guild member?
No.
Well, you do. I'm sure you met her. You saw her in the bar. She was drinking that one time.
She was the one with the sugar.
Oh, she loves
always
sugar.
Eating sugar like every
Sugar
day.
cubes. Yeah, the
Is
one
she a
dropping.
horse?
Well, no, the human dropping sugar cubes in her wine, that was Mary. So Mary and I were together the first time I died, and she's magical, so she put my body in like another whatever world or whatever, and that's why I'm here. But at the time, I didn't actually have any magical powers or anything, you know? So I'm just like grateful is what I am. Every day I wake up, it's a good day to be alive. And I'm not super firmly tethered to this world. So I do see things that other people don't. And sometimes when I like poke and prod at the lines that you guys can't see, I'm able to bring stuff into this reality. But that's all I got. Yeah, I'm not a medium. I'm not really very useful in this situation at all.
Well, I hope we're not too strongly tethered to this world, because I'd rather get back to how things were. I mean, like, it's nice to be tall, but being an elf is weird.
All right.
It is.
So
They have such ears.
we're gonna start
it's so late, and I don't feel tired. What's with that?
So we're gonna start the scene, the investigation part here, and this part of the game mechanically, normally we would be sharing a deck of cards if we were at a table together, but instead I will be drawing from a deck of cards and reading you 2 prompts, and you will answer one of those prompts, and then you will have the option. This is from the rules of the game. You'll have the option to do one of 3 actions. The first action is investigate. Investigate means that you are looking at the crime scene or a clue that already exists or some evidence or the victim's body themselves. And so it's basically used for physical evidence, right? If you investigate the crime scene, you can add a clue that you discover in that process. If you learn something new about a clue, you could connect it to a suspect, which we don't have any suspects yet. And then it becomes evidence in that suspect's page. You can learn something new about some evidence, which might connect it to another suspect or give some more insight. Or you can investigate the victim themselves, and that may reveal more information as well. The second item you can do is called interview a suspect. If you have suspects, you can interview them and may connect them to a clue, therefore adding evidence to their sheet. Or you may find a new suspect, in which case you name somebody and explain why you think they're a suspect. What is it about them that makes them a potential suspect in this murder? Now, I have provided a list of some persons of interest that already exist in this setting that the deceased may know. So you can name any of them as suspects, or you can name new people as suspects. You can come up with all kinds of additional things. Finally, the third action that you could take, and you can only take one of these on your turn, is consult. Consult is where you ask a question, and then the detectives go around in a circle and answer the question in 1 or 2 sentences. The question should be sort of open. So instead of saying something like, do you think so-and-so killed them? You might ask, which one seems more guilty? Suspect A or suspect B? Or which one had greater opportunity? Or something even more open, like...
Does this dress make me look fat?
You could ask that question, but let's try to keep consult questions related to the crime scene. If you ask that question, that's a freebie. Okay? But does this dress look like it doesn't fit the victim? would be a very relevant question, right?
Does this dress look like it would have made the victim look fat?
Exactly. There
That
you go.
is my mother you are talking about.
I'm asking about the dress.
Okay. So, so that's what you've got. Investigate for physical evidence, interview for suspects, and consult for talking with your fellow detectives. All right. So the first prompt that we have is for Nasty. And you have 2 prompts that you will choose from, and then you will take one of those actions. Okay. There was a big conflict in the victim's community. What was it? Was the victim involved? Some examples: a big political election, a scuffle between rival sports teams, etc. Or someone gives you something that was taken from the crime scene before you arrived. What is it, and who gave it to you?
And for the player, if you want to look at the rules, that's page 14, prompt 6. It's helpful to have it in text. It's the rules PDF, page 14, prompt 6.
Ah, gotcha. Page 14, you say?
Yes.
Let me just find that real quick. And these are the things I'm available to do right now.
Yeah, it's like an or choice. You get to pick whichever one would be more fun.
Yeah, of the 6 of spades, 2 prompts: the big conflict, or someone gives you something.
Gotcha. Option 6. There's a big conflict in the victim's community. What was it? Was the victim involved? Or, someone gives you something. All right. What is it and who gave it to you? Let's go with the former. There was a big conflict in the victim's community. Am I establishing what it was?
Yes, you are. You will tell us what it is. What is it? How were the victims involved?
I start sifting through the papers, and for some reason, now that I'm in this new body, maybe it's like just some deep part of being an elf, I can read. Them elves are real hoity-toity. They know how to read. It's so ingrained in them that their bodies just instinctively know how, and I'm just kind of leeching off of that ability. I'm like, whoa, there's information on this. This says there's like a big garden extravaganza, and the Medicis had a little, like show-off session on their estate, and they're showing their like prized azalea bushes. I know a thing or two about flowers. Auntie McIntyre loves flowers, and someone went and had pruned the azaleas just before this big, get together, this shindig, and they were beefing hard with this person. The paper doesn't say who, but the Medicis were very upset about it.
Excellent. And then take one of those actions: investigate, interview, or consult.
This was not too long ago. I think for interview, does it have to? Well, I guess this would be consult then. I think I'll consult Armando here. Armando.
So a consult is for everybody, all of the detectives.
Gotcha.
And the answer needs to be like 1 or 2 sentences, and you also will answer it last.
And does investigation need to be asking a suspect, or can it, or what?
Interview is interviewing a suspect, and we don't have any yet, so you could establish somebody as a suspect. It's okay for one of the suspects to be one of our detectives. That is acceptable.
Armando, you said you was here 2 weeks before now?
That is correct. And for many
maybe
years
not
before
you,
that
but
too.
You
Yeah, not this person.
Right.
But
well,
me.
you was, but not here. It's weird. But yeah, you was here like 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
You didn't. Were you here for the big garden extravaganza? Were you here for the little shindig that was going on?
Yes, I was. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was forced to go. Dress up very nice. We're going to show off the flowers.
And were you upset with your parents around this time?
Are you establishing that Armando is a suspect? Are you establishing Armando as a suspect?
I mean, I'm not gonna rule him out just yet.
Well, okay, mechanically, do you want to put him on the
Yes.
suspect list? Okay, then that's what we're doing. And then tell us why he is a
Because
suspect.
he said he told us that he hired someone off his parents, and I'm just kind of pre-establishing, a pattern. If he was the one that destroyed the azaleas, clearly he's already lashing out. And to be clear, like, I just want to get back to my normal nasty body. I don't care one way or the other whether Armando did it. He could have done it, and I'm sure he would have had his reasons. Armando cares a lot about honor, and like, I like the guy already, barely met him, but I do want to get back to my body, so we got to figure this out.
All right, so Armando is now formally established as suspect number 1. And your commander, who in this case we're going to say is the desk sergeant, informs you of a clue found somewhere away from the crime scene. What is it, and where was it found? Or you discover something hidden. What is it? Draw it onto the crime scene. This is the king of spades for the prompts.
Either way, a clue is being created during this, either on the crime scene or not. That's the choice.
Yep.
I'm going on the crime scene because we have this handy dandy picture.
Sure.
That seems better than not on the handy dandy picture. The clue is gonna be the trajectory of the blood, which will tell us the location of the stabber. Right? Are blood spot patterns real?
Sure.
All right. Specifically, you know how, so right now, listeners, we're looking at a picture and it's got these 2 bodies laying in bed, but the bodies are just representations. In real life, the characters are looking at one body in the bed because that one was sleeping, but the second one woke up because somebody was getting stabbed to death next to them, right? So, and that person is half on the ground, and the ground direction that they're in is towards the door, because that makes sense, not the window. There's 2 directions, left door, right window. So that body is actually, like, this is kind of gory. That body's actually on the ground closer to the door. And the blood splatter shows that the person was standing on the wall that is closer to the desk. And it splattered all on the wall towards the pillows. And this shows that the person entered through the window. Yeah, so move them up towards the door. Yeah, perfect. Any of the above. And the blood splatter is, oh, there's a blood splatter icon. Okay. Yeah, it's over like there somewhere. So that shows us that the killer, and it's like between the head of the body and the wall. This is a fun game, guys. And this shows us that the killer was, well, it doesn't really show us any. My goal here was to show you that the killer came in through the window, but I guess it could have been either. Looking at the scene, we will say that the person was closer to the wall than the killer was closer to the wall. And I'm going to go with that's Armando's dad. The mom died peacefully in her sleep, and the dad died running and screaming.
Okay, so the thing that you found that was hidden was the blood splatter.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's because it was like...
Is it because it was kind of hidden behind this dresser?
Right. So if you look at it from one angle, you see dresser. But if you look at it from the other angle, you see gore.
Yeah, okay, great. Awesome.
Yeah, so I walk around, I rotate around the dresser, and I gasp. And I say, they didn't get very far. And I point to how they died there.
Okay.
But I was trying to show something, but I realized you can't really exclusively say the killer came in through the door or from the window based on how this blood splatter is. You can just say that the victim was closer to the wall than the killer.
And do you want to interview, investigate, or consult?
I think like non-mechanically I want to consult, so I'm going to consult. Non-mechanically, I want to know, Armando, who'd you hire? But I don't know if I'm allowed to ask that. Like, that feels like breaking the game.
That's a very specific question. Maybe something a little more general, like who do we know that was assassin for hire at the time? Perhaps, I don't know.
This feels silly. But okay. Armando, I cannot ask you who you hired, so I must deduce who you hired by seeing who was available.
I think if you want to
hire.
ask him a direct question like that, you could ask it as an interview question, not a consult. Because he is a suspect, so you can now ask him suspect interview questions.
Can I? All right.
Yeah.
I used the interview mechanic, and I interviewed the
go.
suspect, Armando. Armando, who'd you hire?
To be honest, it was like a. So there is a city bar in Nicamoy that I do not normally frequent, but when I was so full of rage, I go to the bulletin board at this bar called the Dark Web, and on the bulletin board, I post that this is what I want. It's very secretive, so I don't know. All I know is somebody at the Dark Web.
Are you like mad at them for killing the parents? That you paid them for a job and they did the job. Like
No, the thing is, the payment was supposed to be after, but they never come to collect, you know? So it is a mystery. Like, was the person, did they take the job and do it and just never come for the money in 11 years? So I've been trying to track down this assassin because I think clearly the job was done, but maybe I am starting to think that this is different, you know? Maybe it was not what I think it was. We should look around to see what else we can find, because this does not look like the work of a professional. Maybe they are so embarrassed that they leave such a filthy crime scene that it is impugning the character of the assassin. I don't know. But
this is an interesting RPG because, like, me, the player, is like Armando did it, but like me, the character is like I got to play by these rules and see who technically the hands.
Maybe
Gotta find out who the hands
assassin,
belong to.
Maybe somebody stole my posting and it never got to the right place, you know? Or maybe my handwriting was so scratchy like the one we got today and nobody read it.
I'm glad that you have to see your dead parents for the first time, Armando.
It makes me sick to my stomach.
Good.
But I cannot tell if it is more sick than when I see them alive, honestly.
Anne is
Interesting.
so happy you get to see your freshly murdered parents.
You know, I should re-examine our relationship as a friend.
I don't know if we're friends after this, Armando
Well,
and Anne.
Yeah. Thank you for the gene at the front of the episode, I guess.
I would still always buy you gin.
All right, so you have interviewed Armando and learned some more information from him.
I have. Why is Sadie hiding deep within herself? I have no idea.
Armando, the clothes the victim is now wearing weren't the clothes they were wearing when they left home or when they went to bed, when they were last seen. What were they wearing then and what are they wearing now? Or you suspect the victim's body was moved after they were killed. Where was the body before?
So I know their nighttime routine is to retire to bed. They will talk, they will scheme, but they are normally dressed like they would be for the day until after their evening tea, like Joseph was saying. And then after that, they would retire into pajamas or something like that. But they are wearing pajamas, and it is too early for that. So clearly, they were supposed to be wearing their regular clothes, and then they are wearing the pajamas instead. So it does not match their pattern, you know? Something is different. And so as a result, I am suspicious of the timeline because I know their pattern. This is not it. So I'm going to choose to do an investigation. There are a lot of papers around. And I know my father in particular is very careful not to have papers anywhere in the room because much of what he deals with is very incriminating. So it is. This is unusual. Did we overhear from Joseph about the fox statue?
Yes, that was during sort of a preliminary discussion, and that it came out because it is an established fact of this crime scene before we really got started.
So I am starting to. I don't know how much meta talking I can do, but like I'm starting to feel like this is a weird situation. It's not what I thought it was. So I see my father not in the bed, but in his pajamas, and my mother in her pajamas. But that's not what it should be doing because they were going to have tea. And so I'm going to look for where this fox statue was supposed to be and look for clues to see around.
What do you find?
I find that there is On the desk, there is a nail that has never been set properly. It is stick out a little bit, but on the nail is a thread that is very unusual. It's a maroon thread from like a cloak or a shirt or something. Like the person that was manipulating whatever was in the desk ripped their clothes, and it is now on, part of it is on the desk, on the nail. And then I go to rub on my mustache, and it is not there. And I like jump. I'm like, oh, this is so weird.
There you go. There's a nail. And for those that are listening in, I have added a nail and some thread to our crime scene drawing here.
I'm impressed by your clip arting.
Thank you. Okay. And that was your investigate action. Nasty. This will be the 7 of spades if you need to cross-reference. You discover an item related to the victim's job. What is it? Add it to the crime scene and to the victim sheet. Or, what was the victim doing before they were murdered? Where were they?
What did Armando say they did earlier? He said his mom was a model and his father...
So they were both corrupt. Number one, you need to know that for sure. But my father was a councilman on the city of Nicomoy, and my mother was she was the head of a clothing fashion business. Very cutthroat, though.
Okay. And then, let's see, the other one was, what were they doing? Let's go with what was the victim doing before they were murdered. I'm not entirely sure what both of them were doing, but I noticed that one of the papers is real close to the desk, whereas a lot of the other ones are kind of scattered out a little further. The ones with Joseph's footprints on them are kind of closer to the bed, but there is a paper with a footprint on it almost underneath the desk, and this shoe print is different from Joseph's shoe print. And after looking around a bit, I realized that it's Armando's dad's shoe print. And kind of looking at it, it seems like whenever things started to happen, Armando's father was at the desk. Had stood up, kind of scattered papers in his haste, stepped on this one, and then whatever happened.
Okay. We have added a document with a shoe print on it near the desk. And then you can investigate, interview, or consult.
Investigate, interview, or consult. So, do my fellow investigators have all this information if I don't consult with them?
Oh, everybody, the knowledge
everybody has all
is
the
shared.
information.
Yeah.
Okay,
the consult
okay, cool.
is just sort of like, what's your opinion on this thing?
Just making sure, because I wouldn't want to not consult if they didn't have that information.
No. It's shared open information with each other.
All right. Remind me what investigate entails.
Investigate is looking at or discovering clues. So you might create a new clue for the scene, or you can connect a clue to a suspect. We currently only have one suspect. You can create new suspects through the interview action.
You said that the tea was still inside here, yeah? Inside this room?
Let me put a tea kettle on the graphic. I did not have one there.
I think that Nasty is feeling kind of thirsty, and he sees the tea over yonder, so he goes to take a look at it, pours a little cup, and notices a slight smell. And now Nasty has lived a lot of his life in a junk heap, and that's why he sources a lot of his food. So he has to be like, he is not picky, but he's got to be careful because it's easy to get sick if you're not careful. And he's not entirely certain what's going on, but whatever's in this tea, he knows if he had drank it, it would have made him violently ill real quick. Not sure in what way necessarily. Really basically just like a sort of danger sense, like, oh no, I cannot drink this. And he realizes, wait a minute, why is the tea, why is the tea
Full of iocane powder?
It can't be iocane powder. I wouldn't be able to smell it. Because iocane powder is odorless, flavorless, and dissolves instantly in water. But it is one of the more deadly poisons known to man. So that fits the bill except for the odor. But yeah. But why did Joseph bring up essentially poison tea? So this could open up the timeline a bit.
Yeah, it sounds like you have investigated the physical evidence of the tea and determined that it is poisoned. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And Armando, smell this. You smell that?
I dutifully smell it.
This isn't like a fancy tea, right? That you smell that's a nasty tea, and not like nasty like but like no.
Not like you nasty, but like regular nasty. Like I understand what you're trying to say. Like the tea they usually have is Albion black tea, and I am very familiar with that smell. This is a sweeter, but like I don't know. It makes the back of my throat feel funny when I smell it.
Yeah. Any comment from you, Anne? You had like liquor or something, I guess. Do you know anything about tea?
The person who drinks tea as an ingraft action has better insight to this than I do.
Gotcha.
Anne, you ready?
Yeah.
You recognize the victim from somewhere else. Why do you recognize them? Or there are signs of a struggle at the crime scene. What are they?
I probably don't recognize them because, I think I got teleported into this world 12 years after the murder, so probably not. Unless I've seen their ghost wandering around. Actually, yeah, let's do that. All right, I recognize them.
There is canonically that they have been encountered in the land of the dead.
Oh, they've been in hell. Never mind. They've been in hell.
It was not like a hell. It was like waiting a station before they go to the final destination. So they're stuck,
Right, but they wouldn't have been here for me to see them through the
They could have
veil.
been on the run. Maybe
I don't know what your power is.
I see things that are spatially here through the multiverse. So I'm
Gotcha.
instead going to the other one was there are signs of a struggle at the crime scene. What are they? I'm the blood splatter person today because the signs of the struggle are, again, one of them was killed in the bed, probably quickly. The other one was not. We're going to add a blood trail from the bed to where they are. And the meaningful thing about this is that there's smears in the blood trail and blanks in the blood trail from where it splattered on a person. The suspect, the hands, if you will, has blood on them from where the struggle happened between the bed and where that second body is, which I'm going to go with Armando's dad still. Oh, that's a fun graphic. All right. I love the shared visual. Listeners of the podcast can't see it, but you can picture it.
All right.
And this tells us the suspect will, as of 3 hours ago, at least, at that point, had blood on their clothes. So right now, the clothes might be being destroyed. Or maybe just a little while ago.
So, investigate, interview, or consult.
Oh, did I not investigate? I believe I created a new clue.
That was part of your prompt question.
Oh.
So this is separate from that.
There is a guy outside covered in blood. I don't know if that is something you care about.
I want to know if when I talked to the butler earlier, did they have blood on them?
Okay. So do you want to make him a suspect?
I'm not used to the style of player-created, player-driven role-playing game.
I mean, he did bring up a poison tea.
No, I need another suspect.
Didn't he come to the police station covered in blood and cover his hands with blood?
We never really established that. You guys assumed that he had blood on him, but aside from maybe a little on his shoes from walking over, maybe not.
I thought it was
We
established.
did tell him he could wash up and that we had spare clothes.
You said there was some blood on him. He said because he was investigating the body to see, supposedly, you're gonna get some incidental blood, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll say that like a little bit of blood here and there. He may have a bloody handkerchief from when he wiped his hands, but otherwise he's not like covered in blood. That would have been noteworthy. So, Anne, do you want to make him into a suspect?
No, I want to add a new suspect.
Okay. Who are we adding?
It's the part where I'm stuck.
By the way, we can declare the assassin, who it does not have a name yet, as a suspect if you wish.
What's up with the persons of interest list?
That is a list of people that exist already in our setting and our world that the victims would have known for sure. They're not necessarily suspects. They're just, it's basically shorthand for you all so that we're not creating a whole bunch of brand new characters.
Yeah, but it kind of turns the existing characters into murders.
Yes, it could.
But like murderers for hire, which is different about their personality. Like I have hobbies you guys don't know about, but they're not like murder for hire hobbies, you know?
That's a good point. Actually, yesterday there was a character that was specifically called out as
She's typing Dr. Nightshade - serial killer.
MO.
With
That's
a similar
correct.
MO. Okay,
Yep.
I'm going to officially
he was
label...
identified yesterday in the companion episode as someone who had a similar MO to some of these clues.
I like that. So I'm going to just tell you guys, the listeners, some people that she's nominated for potential like murders for hire for funsies, like hobbyists, is Stella Argentine, a silver dragon and neighbor, Lenny Brandybook. I know Lenny well, and I don't like player knows Lenny well, and I don't think he's a murderer for hire unless Stella tells him to, and then he'll lick her feet as he does so. But like I think Dr. Nightshade, the killer for hire, who we know does that in his spare time, he is likely to have accepted that posting, that job posting for money. I'm going to officially nominate, this is my interview action, create a suspect, find a new suspect. It's going to be Dr. Nightshade, the serial killer with a similar MO. And I'm going to say, hey, you know how there's like blood with a gap? It looks like somebody was here stabbing. And you know who I know who stabs for hire? Dr. Nightshade. Dr. Nightshade stabs for hire. Nominates as suspect.
Okay. Armando.
Yes.
You hear or smell something that piques your interest. What is it? Or, this one's a little bit already answered, but you can interpret the second half of it. Who contacted the police about the murder? When and how did they discover the victim's body?
So that is kind of already established the latter part. But the first one where I smell or hear is something, I'm going to say that in this room is a very annoying parrot. And I remember as a parrot, yes, like the bird that talks. And I will establish that as a young man, this bird was trained to make fun of me because my parents are very humiliating toward me. But what I hear is like a note of fear in the parrot voice, like it was squawking as there was some kind of, apparently when my parents were murdered. But now the parrot is saying something and I'm trying to, I note that the tone is more fearful, but it is mimicking a sound that sounds familiar, but I cannot. So I'm going to use the investigate action with the parrot to try to ask it questions to see if it can describe. It is a semi-intelligent bird to see describe what it see, if anything. It clearly is afraid. And the murderer may not have understood that this is a potential witness now. But I will say, what is the bird's name? Cleo. I say, Cleo, you are a good bird. Do you see somebody stab mama and papa? That is what the bird calls my parents, mama, papa. Just mama for my mother, papa for my father, not like a combined mama, papa, single entity. Anyway, I asked them, investigate with the bird, and I want to see what the bird say to me.
And
or do I establish what the bird say?
What does the bird say to you?
Oh, the bird say, all the bird say is a stop thief, a stop thief.
Stop thief! Stop thief!
Just like that. And I'm like, a thief? But it's and so I'm more curious about, maybe it was like a burglary gone wrong or something like that.
Would the boy know the word like assassin or something, or would thief just be like the closest approximation that it can think of?
I'm pretty sure, like my father never say explicitly, but he take care of people in that way. And so the idea of... But
he would have known that the parrot could be a witness, and he wouldn't want he wouldn't want the boy to sing, you know?
But he would have used like a code phrase, like take out the trash, something like that, you know what I mean? So if he's like taking out the trash, that's how you know Cleo is saying, oh, somebody just died.
And do you think Cleo's the boy?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you think Cleo is saying that Cleo stopped the thief, that your parents were trying to stop the thief? Is Cleo asking us to stop the thief?
I think I'm trying to say, like, what do you see is happening? And it's saying a stop thief. So, like, I don't know if my parents were trying to stop a thief or the Cleo was trying to stop a thief, but that is all the bird is saying. I don't know if the bird is, like, traumatized also. So, like, may limit the vocabulary, but that is what is coming out.
Do you think Cleo could identify the poison if we brought Cleo to him?
Maybe. That could be like a interview thing or a further investigation of physical evidence or something. I don't know how that works with a sentient bird.
This is like a red-skinned person and two elves talking to one another about whether or not a bird can be a person.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just checking in.
Okay.
So Cleo is sentient?
Yeah, it's a person
Does that
with a
mean
mind.
Cleo can be held legally and lawfully accountable?
Sentient, not sapient.
Right. It can think.
Can it be held legally and lawfully accountable?
Does it have to go to school?
No. It's a pet, but it is smart.
Can it sign a contract and
I
then
don't think
Anne
so.
can take over its body and then like talk to it soul to soul and be like, hey, what happened to you? Maybe it'll be a bit more expressive inside its own head.
I will wait till Anne's turn if she want to try something like that. That is a possibility. But now
And I guess this is more of a question. Anne, like, can you talk to the void by possessing it? Or is that not really something you can do with the current new weird body?
I can no more determine the thoughts inside its Mazard as can you.
So this is a good point
It's what
to
now?
take a short break. We're playing 24-hour crime scene with Nasty McIntyre and Jopling.
Still say Armando did it.
Armando Consenza Bilasno de Medici.
I'm really hoping there is another suspect very soon. I'm the only one.
And,
But,
No, you're not. Dr. Nightshade.
Oh, Dr.
Yeah, Dr.
Nightshade, I
Nightshade,
forgot to
yeah.
write him down. Oh,
Literally
okay.
the killer for hire. That
I'm
maybe you
very-
heard.
Potentially. Don't be so close-minded.
And I suspect the butler. It's always the butler. It's a trope for a reason, but I haven't officially made him
Yeah,
a
you haven't
suspect
officially
yet.
made him a suspect.
Well, before we go
and-
to a break, I would
Yeah.
like to say I'm going to implore the listener at large, collectively and individually. This is for you, this message. Please rate and review the Fire Breathing Kittens podcast. We are very happy to bring this to you week after week. We try so many game rule sets and we have so many characters, and it is all for you. And so do us a favor and go like to iTunes or whatever and give us a number of stars that is like 5 and tell us what you like about it and who you like the most. If it is like Nasty and you're like, oh, what a debut performance from Nasty. He's so great. You know, something like that. We will read your review on the air and maybe I will read it. Maybe it will be Anne or Sadie. I'm not sure what's going to happen later in the season, but somebody will read your review, and when you tell people that you like it and you review it, it helps us grow. So thank you. Please go ahead and do that.
Nasty won't read it. He can't read. Sorry.
Bye.
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 See ya.
Today's mid-episode shout-out is, quote, "To the environment advocate Greta, your tireless efforts to protect our planet inspire me every day. Your work truly makes a difference," end quote. You can arrange for us to read your shout-out at firebreathingkittenspodcast.com. Did you know we have paperback, ebook, hardcover, and audiobook adaptations of our adventures on Amazon and Audible? Is there an episode of FBK that would make someone you know smile? Well, telling them about it would help us. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Fire Breathing Kittens. We are playing 24-Hour Crime Scene by William Long. We're joined today by Nasty.
Hello, hello, hello.
Anne.
Oh, I thought my name was And.
And Armando.
Yes, it is me again.
And for those of you who are tuning in halfway through the episode, the Fire Breathing Kittens have been time traveled back in time 11 years to the crime scene of Armando's parents' murder. A event that obviously deeply, deeply affected his life and for which he confessed about 2 weeks before this time travel adventure occurred. So he is a suspect. Dr. Nightshade, the assassin for hire, is also a suspect. We have no other suspects yet. And the crime scene is riddled with blood. There's a parrot that seems to have seen something. Documents are littered across the floor. There's some tea that appears to have been poisoned, which the servant Joseph confessed, sort of, or admitted to having brought up to give to them earlier this evening when he found the bodies. All right. So, Nasty.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at the prompt list, this is the 10 of spades. Someone arrives at the crime scene and they tell you they were supposed to meet someone here. Who are they? Who were they supposed to meet? Or what was the biggest topic of conversation before people started talking about the victim's murder? Did the victim's death steal the spotlight? It's been about 6 hours, so we're talking middle of the night now.
Someone arrives in the bedroom.
Uh-huh. They were supposed to meet someone.
I think that someone does arrive at the bedroom. There's a knock on the door. We walk over and open it. Joseph, who's still handcuffed to the doorknob on the other side, is like, hey, can I come in? Are you done? Like talking in private? I could probably help. And, as you know, I was supposed to like bring tea to them and found them dead. So like, I'm like the primary witness. I'm surprised you haven't asked me any questions. Like, what's going on here?
So is Joseph who was supposed to meet someone here?
Who are they? Who are they supposed to meet? I think he was expecting he was gonna bring the tea up. He was going to give it to him, and then he was going to speak to Mrs. Medici privately while Mr. Medici finished up with some paperwork in his tea. They're just going to like step into the other room and have a little discussion.
All right. And would you like to investigate, interview, or consult?
I'd like to interview Mr. Joseph here.
He is not yet a suspect. Would you like to make him one?
Right. That's part of the interview process, right? If we want to make him a suspect, we have to interview him.
And basically when you interview him and turn him into a suspect, you explain to us why he is a suspect.
Right. So I want to interview him because he brought up this tea that's poisoned. And I don't know, maybe someone else poisoned it and he was unaware, but that seems pretty suspicious to me. Plus, like, he's the one that discovered him. There was a little bit of blood on his clothes when he showed up, and there's like some blank spaces in the blood spatters in the room that could be from him. Like, I wouldn't be a very good investigator if I just passed over him when it's very obvious there's something to be gained by talking to him. And he might have been more involved. So he's definitely a suspect. Maybe not prime suspect or suspect number one, but he's a suspect.
Excellent. Okay, so Joseph is now a suspect because of the poison tea that he definitely brought to the room. Okay.
Can I talk to him more beyond that, or am I just telling him I'm on you?
when you create a suspect, that's pretty much what you get. You get to explain why you think he's a suspect.
That's not much of an interview.
Yeah.
That's more an accusation, but all right.
It kind of is. That's right. All right, Anne. What was the weather like at the time of the murder? How does this affect the crime scene? Or what big event was happening at the time of the murder? Sporting event, townwide celebrations, religious holiday, etc.
The weather was rainy, and the window is still open. And as we stand here, the rain continues to pour in, making the room humid, the blood smell obvious, and the droplets leach into the wallpaper and carpet that they damply rest upon. It was a dark and stormy night.
It was a dark and stormy night.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
And investigate, interview, or consult.
I would like to interview this butler because I feel like my friend wants to. So I'm going to ask Joseph Filosofeno, which I have a lot of information on because of this persons of interest list. Like, I got some spoilers. So I'm just going to say to Joseph Filosofeno, Joseph, I am sure that we can hit together upon a mutually beneficial agreement for both of us, that you will discuss the goings about of the household with us, and we will more thoroughly understand the habitual actions of its inhabitants. Please tell me, I noticed that the tea, well, my comrade has noticed that the tea is not fit for general consumption. Can you explain this?
And what does he tell you?
He tells me, my dear madam, do not consume the spilled tea. Not only is it drenched upon the foul, rain-sodden ground and mingled with the bloods of my masters, but also I have been daily adding to their tea small amounts of a powder that, upon ingestion by a mere mortal, would result in a lethal conclusion, but from my masters who have increased their tolerance to such substances, would merely produce the sweetest repose and best solace in the nighttime hours.
Mere mortals? Who are your masters?
Their pieces are upon the floor there.
He works for the trees. They want revenge for the paper.
No. The Bellasno de Medici family, Contenza Bellasno de Medicis, they had many enemies, and each night, as they failed to fall asleep because of their many evil crimes, the sweet nothings of nightshade and other substances helped sway them to the land of some god of dreams. And I'm out of role play. There we go.
Okay. So I've added this to the evidence that he had been adding a drug to the tea, which Arturo and Maria were habituated to.
Were they aware they were taking it? Like they asked him to put that in there, or they just were?
That's his claim.
Yeah, we can't ask them. Remember, suspects could lie.
Why were you drinking this?
Google's God of Dreams Morpheus. Dunno. This sweet morphine substance.
Armando.
Yes?
People in the town are preparing for something, a holiday, a competition, etc. What is it, and was the victim involved? Or the victim had been keeping a secret. What was it? Add it to the victim sheet.
I remember that around this time my father was running for re-election. So he was a long-standing councilman, and he kind of do some dirty tricks to get there. But there was the person who was running against him was an upstart, like a recent neighbor too, Bonaventura Hawley. And I remember when he moved in, he was not very couth, not very like entrenched like my father was in politics. But he was very good at making connections and learning the things he had to say. Like he would at first come to my father as a mentor, but eventually their relationship break down. But he had too much dirt on my father, so my father did not take out the trash, so to speak. But instead, Bonaventura tried to run against him. And so an election was coming up, and Bonaventura and my father were against each other. Eventually, I think Bonaventura was disqualified. So it went, I forgot, it was appointed to somebody. I didn't care at that point. I was very emotionally distressed. But, like, he definitely, when I think about that, he had motive, right? I think he was going to lose and he wanted to win. So I would like to, I guess, as part of the next step, the process, I'm going to add him as the fourth and final, in the case of this game, potential suspect, Bonaventura heavily, because he had a motive to try to win the election and acquire a massive amount of power. My father was consolidating power in a councilman position for some time, and so it was very attractive to the people of ill repute, we'll say.
There would be nothing to stop Dr. Nightshade from taking income from two sources. In fact, not having received income from the Armando Contenza Palazzo de Medici source implies that a trained killer might have already received income from an alternative source.
Maybe so. It's hard to say.
Here's a question for the law. If you hire a killer to kill someone who's already dead, are you guilty?
I think it's like, you probably get in trouble, but I don't think it's like the full crime.
I don't think you're guilty for murder.
Right, because they're already dead. So, like, although you didn't know that at the time.
Maybe you could get in trouble for attempted murder, but not murder because you didn't do it.
Right.
Or like conspiracy or something like that.
Pretty sure it's conspiracy. Yeah.
Right. So, Armando, if someone had already killed your parents, you'd be off the hook.
I'd go onto a smaller hook, probably. Still on the hook, but...
Okay, Nasty. You discover the last message the victim either sent or received. What does it say? Or, what is the most unusual thing about the victim? Describe it and add it to the victim's sheet.
I think using my new elf powers and sifting through some more of these papers, there's a letter from this Dr. Nightshade fella addressed to the Medicis that says... Actually, it's not addressed to the Medicis. It was, however, in the desk of the Medicis, which might have been a bit concerning to who it was addressed to. It's actually a letter addressed to Mr. Joseph from Dr. Nightshade that says essentially that there's a new shipment of this like experimental nightshade for the Medici's tea that they take every night. Not a whole lot to go off of that, but it does rope more people into the circle and kind of paint a bigger picture. I don't know if it's exactly incriminating, but more stuff's more stuff.
Okay. And then investigate, interview, or consult.
I think I'm gonna interview, or maybe more interrogate, Mr. Joseph here, since he's still handcuffed to the doorknob. He's just inside the room now. About this letter addressed to him, but inside Mr. Medici's desk. So I'm like, hey, Joseph, what's the story here? You're taking shipments from a known serial murderer of a poisonous substance, which you claim the Medicis just, they love it. They need it so that they can go off to dreamland. Well, I'm seeing two people permanently in dreamland. You got anything to say about that?
And what do you learn?
He gets a little bit sweaty, and he's a little bit hesitant, but I think he does say, to like check the tea again. And I don't know if you want me to keep going or just wait till next time to check the tea again.
Keep going. You can connect this clue to a suspect at this point.
So I go back to the tea and I smell the one, and it has the bitter, strange, bad smell. And the other one smells like tea. I'm not exactly sure what, maybe like a chamomile, but it's just the tea. Only one of them is poisoned.
And is that connecting that clue to somebody?
Joseph says that he has been administering small, gradually larger bits of poison to Mr. Medici, but not Mrs. Medici, and that wasn't in, that's not what he was being paid for. And he's a little bit hesitant to say much more, they were very clearly stabbed, but he admits he was poisoning them.
Okay. Or drugging them. It's the same.
Right. I don't think he says poison, but he admits he was putting nightshade in there.
Okay.
Or exclusively Mr. Medici.
All right. Anne, we have the 8 of spades for you. You discover a letter at the crime scene. Who is it from and who is it to? Add it to the relevant sheets. Or, this isn't the first time you've been to this crime scene. Why were you here before?
I discover a letter from a lady with the last name of Filosofeno. This lady with the last name of Filosofeno has sent a lock of hair, and it's tied in a ribbon, and it's in the letter, and it looks old, and like 20 years old. And it's addressed to Arturo, and it says a lot of gross stuff, but basically then it's like, Mom, I love you, mwah. And Arturo has treasured this for many years, and it's under a floorboard under the bed post. So we find it because we're investigating the crime scene, and we pull up the floorboard and we find the lock of hair and the letter from someone named Filosofeno. And we recognize that that is Joseph's last name.
All right. And then investigate, interview, or consult.
I got to interview.
Yep.
My character now knows the information that the player is able to see on this sheet of clues. And so I go to the character and I say, Joseph! And then I roleplay the response, I guess. And he says, police officer. And I say, Joseph. Joseph, I have found this letter. It contains a lock of hair the same color as yours. And Joseph goes, many people have this hair color. And I go, do many people have the last name of Filosofeno? And he goes, no, my mother and I and about 30 cousins have that last name. And I go, your mother, but not your father. What is your father's last name? And he goes, my father? I never knew my father. And I go, Joseph, I know your father. And Joseph goes, gasp. And I say, Joseph, your father was none other than Armando Contento Bilasno de Medici. No, wait, no, that's Armando. No,
I start waving my hand like, no.
What's your dad's name? His dad. That's your brother. Half brother. What's your dad's name, Armando?
Arturo. Which is, interestingly enough, Joseph's middle name.
Arturo. I say, Joseph, you never questioned why you looked so much like and shared the middle name of your master, Arturo Contenzo Bilasno de Medici? And Joseph says, I never questioned anything. I'm just a loyal dog. The more I keep my nose down, the less I smell. Foul odors in the air around me. And that's when Nasty speaks up and goes, do not fear foul odors. And I go, do not fear them, Joseph. The truth will set you free.
This is very dramatic. I like this.
I am beside myself, learning that I have a brother.
Hey, don't speak ill of them foul odors, all right? I mean, that's not me this time around, but...
Wait till you find out about the other one.
There is another one! I mean, that the player does not, and the character does not know.
Okay, excellent. Armando.
Yes.
Something about the crime scene really disturbs you. What is it? Or... you find a news article about the victim. Why were they mentioned in the paper?
Well, I think everything about this crime scene is disturbing me. Like, everything. Seeing their dead bodies, the blood everywhere, the implication that I may have had responsibility in this. I will go with the first one. And I will say to myself, it just does not fit. Because I see the body of my mother asleep, and according to the timeline, like Joseph was coming up with the tea, she should not have been asleep. She should not have been in her pajamas. And my father should not have been in the pajamas. Yet, there is blood on the pajamas, and he is, like, there is a sign of a struggle. It's like something was supposed to happen with the assassin, or whoever was showing up to do something, and it went wrong. So, even though the general scene is disturbing to me, even in that, when I disassociate myself, like, something is just not right. Not just that somebody was murdered, but that the pieces we are meant to see something that is not real. Like it was staged in a way to make us draw a different conclusion. And it bothers me. Like something is not right. The pieces do not line up.
Excellent. Do you want to investigate, interview, or consult?
So I would like to investigate. And I think something we have not done as much is learn more information about a clue, right? That is a possibility.
Yes.
So I want to find out about the blood splatter that Anne found earlier by the wall. Because, like, I know there was poison in the tea, and I'm starting to suspect that maybe my mother got the wrong cup meant for my father or something, but it didn't even, they were dead before the tea. It's hard to say. And so the blood splatter is not from, I know as a sword fighter, that is not from a stabbing weapon, like a fencing sword. You would not stab somebody and expect a splatter like that. That is either from a bludgeon or from a slash. And so when I look at the blood splatter and my father's figure a little bit more closely, it looked like a bludgeoning, which tell me that the original wounds or the wounds that I see on my mother, they are stab wounds, but there is an additional wound on my father that is a bludgeoning, and it is becoming very curious, like that an assassin would have multiple weapons, or maybe there was something else, or maybe I don't know. Oh,
Excellent. All right. Nasty. Dawn arrives. It is now daytime. So we are now looking at the prompts that are on the day list, which is the hearts. And I drew the 10 for you. What is something you find unnerving about a suspect, or a suspect contradicts something that another suspect has said? What is it?
The only suspects that we've actually spoken with are the two in this room, right?
Yes, you have not spoken with Dr. Nightshade,
Dr. Nightshade.
or Bonaventura, but you can. Not sure if you can so much interview Dr. Nightshade, but maybe we can get some information from him somehow. He's hard to catch.
I think I noticed something unnerving about a suspect. And I think what I find unnerving is that Joseph here is, practically chained inside a room with two dead bodies of two people that he knew very well, spent much of his life serving. And unless we are asking him questions, he seems fairly composed, and that seems a little off. You'd expect him to, ask to go in the other room so he doesn't have to look at him, or nervous that maybe whoever did it's gonna come back. He's just calm, and that doesn't sit right with me.
All right. Investigate, interview, or consult.
I think that I see Armando looking at the blood splatters, and I think I want in on that action. I'm the only one who hasn't looked at them yet. So I investigate them, particularly the larger bits, like the big old streaks with the handprints in them, or rather where the blood would have gone across the hand, but not the prints. And I kind of try to gauge how long this blood's been there. We've been here maybe, 2 hours?
You've been here for 12 hours.
We've been here 12 hours?
Yep.
We ain't done nothing.
time flies when you're having fun, eh?
Yeah. And I wonder if we could ask Joseph if he's having fun or if time's flying over there. But I'm trying to gauge how long the blood's been sitting here. And it looks like, it would be congealed by, 16 hours. But it's already starting to, dry out. Kind of starting to powder a little bit near the edges. Which tells me that this mortar happened quite a bit further back than was initially reported, especially since like the room's been kind of wet and humid. It's you'd expect the blood to be a little wetter, a little fresher, but it's already starting to dry out fully. So there's another discrepancy in our timeline. If I had to guess, I'd say it's been here at least 2, maybe let's go with 3. It's been here at least 3 hours longer than was reported.
Okay. Anne, which suspect seems the least upset about the victim's death? Or a family member of the victim shows you a photo of the victim and someone else describe the photo.
Armando shows me a photo of Arturo and Joseph Arturo Filosofeno on Father's Day, as Armando, with shaking hands, pulls it out from the space under the floorboards. Armando realizes that Arturo recognized and acknowledged Joseph all along. Yes, he had to serve as the loyal household servant, but on Father's Day every year was the one time that, Armando never noticed because he didn't spend Father's Day with his dad, because Arturo was spending the whole day with Joseph. And that is when they went on fishing trips, they played catch, they saw baseball. And these photos through the years, Armando's hands go limp and he drops them on the ground, and the clattering sound of the photographs striking the floorboards alerts me. I look up at Joseph, air quotes, Joseph, doing his best to pretend like he belongs here, like he fits in. And I say to him, if you had been the true Joseph Filosofeno, you would have not been surprised when I told you that Arturo was your father. Dr. Nightshade, I presume?
What a twist!
Handcuffed to this door, you didn't expect us to realize that it was you in this skin suit all along.
Very clever, Inspector.
So, Anne, are you investigating, interviewing, or consulting?
I'm investigating some evidence to find the photos.
Oh, no, you already established those photos as your prompt.
I'm interviewing a suspect, Dr. Nightshade, wearing the skin suit of Joseph Arturo Filosofeno.
I would just like to say I am horrified. Like, that skin suit makes me worry about Joseph. He was always such a nice man, and I'm hoping he is still okay.
3 murders may have been committed today.
I have bad news for Armando. Okay, so... all right, excellent. Armando, a family member reveals something to you about the victim. What do they tell you? Add it to the victim sheet. Or, which suspect has previously been convicted of a crime and what was it?
This is a hard one because I am not aware of any family. Like, my parents were very close-lipped about the family. So as far as I was concerned, it was my parents and me. That's it. And then as far as former crimes, the only one I can think of from the list is maybe Dr. Nightshade, or I know Bonaventura has some crimes, but later, like he had not been found guilty of anything right now. Like only the me from the present and not in the past would know. So I'm going to select the first one with the family member, but it is going to come from a family member I was not aware of that I had. And what I will say is, while we were investigating, a lady walks into the room looking strikingly like my mother, and she bursts into tears, and she is just beside herself, talking about how she went too young and her sister should have never been wrapped up in the terrible thing that she was a part of. And she does not know I am Armando, but I am like, who is this lady that looks just like my mother? And I collect myself and say, excuse me, ma'am, you should not be here. This is a crime scene. And she said, get your hands off me. My name is Antoinette Monteleon, and that is my sister, and I am going to find revenge on the person that had her murdered. And I don't know who Antoinette is. And so I say, excuse me, ma'am, how do you know the victim? and she declares very strongly that that is her sister. And so as Armando, I am finding out I have a half-brother, and I am finding out I have an aunt, and this is all like too much for me to handle. So when I hear that, I kind of lose my balance a little bit, and I look for a place to sit down. And I end up sitting down on the bed that has the body of my mother. I am in shock.
And
so
while you are in shock, do you investigate? Do you interview? Do you consult? What do you learn?
So can you only interview a suspect, or can you interview like a non-suspect?
You can interview suspects if you're talking to a non-suspect about a physical clue. It's as if you were investigating the clue.
I see. So looking at my aunt, who looks exactly like my mother, I see like a living, breathing version of the lady I remember. And it scratches an itch in my mind like something is wrong with my mother's body. And I steel myself. I take a deep breath, which smell acrid with the smell of copper, with the blood everywhere and the rain outside. And I look at my mother, and I investigate the stab wounds that she have. And I carefully examine them to see that there is not a lot of blood coming from her wounds, as if she was already dead before she was stabbed. And so this is I watched a lot of plays when I was a kid, and a lot of crime scene investigation plays, and it is telling me that she was murdered somehow before the stabbing, contrary to what we see with the blood splatter with my father. And so something is not lining up with the time of death between the two of them. I always suspected that they died together, but there is an unevenness in the bodies.
Excellent.
And I'm starting to cry. I'm
course.
starting to cry while I'm doing this, but trying to stay professional. Mm-hmm. It's a lot to take in,
Mm-hmm. Nasty. You think that one of the suspects is lying. What are they lying about? Or you recognize one of the suspects. Where do you recognize them from?
One of them is lying, or I recognize one of them.
That's correct.
I think that one of the suspects is lying. And I think someone here has already set a precedent for lying, and that'd be Mr. Nightshade over there chained to the door. So I go up to him.
Dr. Nightshade.
Hey, this guy murders people. I don't respect his position. Not that I would have respected it to start with. But anyway, so I kind of start to grill him a little bit, captive audience. He got nowhere to go, making him sweat a little bit. And I slowly come to learn that he had pulled a little switcheroo. He told me earlier that he had been poisoning Mr. Medici, but it was actually the inverse. He had been poisoning Mrs. Medici, and it seems that the letter that had been addressed to Joseph had been the way for him to... He had been giving Nightshade to Joseph, and it had been being used for what he had initially said. It was used in a trace amount to help them sleep. But then, one night, at a seedy tavern, he saw a notice, and he thought, I've already got easy access to this house. So, he sent a letter to Joseph and said, hey, I've got a new shipment for you. Joseph came to pick it up, and he swapped places with him and started making moves. He had, however, previous dealings with Mr. Medici, so he planned on only making moves on Mrs. Medici, and then trying to negotiate an additional reward out of the Mr.
Okay. And then investigate, interview, or consult?
I think it's time to consult.
Okay.
Might be able to learn a little bit more, but I feel like it's starting to come together. We should at the very least touch bases and see how we're feeling.
So what is the question you want to ask your fellow detectives and yourself?
What are we doing here?
Anne.
We're pinning someone else for the murder so that Armando, our guild member, is only guilty of hiring an assassin for the already deceased.
Armando.
But, like-
Wait, hold up. Everybody answers
Gotcha.
and then you get and it like 1 or 2 sentences for consults. Armando, what are we doing here?
Personally, I am facing the truth of what happened. I think that this is destiny. It is meant for me to see this, to maybe see that I have my honor intact at least a little bit. But I think we are looking for the true killer, whether it is initiated by me or maybe somebody else. I don't know, but the assassin, whoever they are, needs to be brought to justice.
Nasty, what are we doing here?
I suppose what I was looking for was, if we figure out who did this, do we go home? Are we stuck here? But I think it does feel right to say that if we figure this out, that I don't know exactly what, but I don't think we'll be stuck here no more. You'll get to have your beautiful mustache back. Hopefully you'll be able to find Sadie again, and I won't have to be an elf.
Okay.
So I think we do need to figure out who did this. And I think we need to get it right.
I concur.
Anne, the weather has changed since the murder took place. What is the weather like now? Or, reporters start to arrive. Who told them about the murder? What are they most interested in?
Reporters have arrived on the scene this morning as Joseph Filosofeno, the servant of the household, has arrived completely buck naked at the Nicomoy Times, professing that his clothing and perhaps face, we're unsure at this moment, were stolen by an unnamed assailant. He said he's concerned about the well-being of the people in the house and hopes that everybody's okay. We've arrived on the scene to make sure that he has a change of clothes. Listeners, we're interviewing Joseph now. Joseph.
So
Thank you,
you're going to
Barbara.
interview?
I appreciate it.
Oh, okay. That's the reporters interviewing Joseph. Got it.
Yeah. Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate it. And thank you again for this sweatpants. I can't thank you enough. I just want to say I've faithfully served the Contenza Bilasno de Medici household my whole life, and if someone was able to kidnap me and take my clothes, then they were also able to take the skeleton keys that will open any door in the de Medici household. I'm really concerned for their safety, and I hope that everyone's okay.
Nice. Anne, would you like to interview, investigate, or consult?
Interview. I'm going to step outside the house in I'm a dark elf wearing a cop uniform, and the reporter Barbara comes to me and she's like, "There's police presence on the scene! Quickly! Cameraman, come here!" And they run towards me and they're like, Officer, do you have a statement at this time?" And I say, "Oh, whoa, stay behind the line, everybody. We got to establish a perimeter." They don't come too close. "Unfortunately, you were at a crime scene, and it would be a violation of the law if you were to approach any further." Barbara says, "A crime scene? Surely nothing has happened." "Joseph was concerned that his skeleton key was taken. Has anything bad happened?" "Officer," and I say, "I can't say anything at this time. All I can say is go check on your loved ones, everybody. Make sure they're safe. No questions at this time. Joseph, come with us, please." And I punch him in the face and kneel on his neck and then drag him with me. I'm a cop. And then I bring him along and he's like, "Okay, I didn't resist. I was coming." And I'm like, "I know." And then I drag him and I got him. He's submitting. And I bring him with me and I got to Joseph. We can interview him. The real one.
What do you learn from the real Joseph?
Unfortunately, when I arrive back on the scene, I find a handcuff dangling, swinging in the wind because I left Dr. Nightshade unattended. So what I learned from the real Joseph is his pant size. I use sweatpants. They're size 16. Nice. Okay. All right.
You can learn something relevant to the crime from him.
Do you want these clothes? Oh, yeah, they fit you. That's good. Your masters are dead. Dead! Oh, yeah, that's the real one.
Yes, he seems distraught by the news.
Oh wait, guy
and-
sizes are in like
yeah.
slashes, so like a 34, 42,
Yeah.
not numbers.
I think those are pant sizes.
That's
That
what
is a
16
very
was.
tall guy. I'm just telling you right now.
I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got. He is sad that his master is dead and cries out "Dad" from his
And-
sweatpants.
So you can learn something from him though that's a little bit more relevant than his pant size.
Oh, okay. It was 3 days ago that he was knocked unconscious, and he struggled for many, many hours to escape from the sewer prison he was held in.
Excellent. All right. Okay. I have drawn the 2 of hearts, which means in 24-hour crime scene, this would mean that the coroner comes and removes the body from the crime scene. However, because this is time travel, timey-wimey, silly stuff, instead, what happens is that a bright flare of light occurs, and you all, when your eyes adjust, you find yourselves back in the Fire-Breathing Kittens Guild Hall, wearing your normal clothes, looking like yourselves. It is present day. It is a nice, beautiful afternoon. You no longer have access to the victim's body or the crime scene itself. You can, however, still interview suspects, but it's been 11 years for them, so there may be information that is aged in different ways. Armando, that would have been your card.
Oh, okay.
And you still have an action of investigate, interview, or consult.
So, it seemed to me like because Dr. Nightshade escaped, I don't know how that happened, like me and Nasty were probably checking out blood splatter again or something. And I would like to find Joseph maybe, or I would like to, I don't know what to say. I want to interview something. No, you know what? I kind of want to consult, because I have not consulted yet with anybody. So I will ask everyone and myself, if we look at all the evidence and we do not blind ourselves with prejudice, like who it is or who it is not, does anybody seem more guilty that we should pursue today, now that we are back in the present?
So, Nasty, that question is for you. 1 or 2 sentences.
Who should we pursue? I felt like that we were really getting somewhere with the plant guy, Nightshade, Mr. Nightshade. I don't know if he was 100% honest with us, but he clearly had something to do with it. I mean, Joseph had said he'd been knocked out for 3 days. You don't knock someone out for 3 days, just to see what their pant size is.
I was hoping that I'd get another turn, and I was going to do another twist, and I was going to reveal that 3 days was 3... months. Like, he's like the 17th. Yeah, that was 3 days ago. And anyway, that didn't happen. So. Oh, well.
On a future turn, you may be able to interview him and learn that, though.
Okay. My point is, I'm trying to place the timeline before Armando hired someone. Yeah.
It's still possible. Like, we can pursue that. Anyway.
But at this point, who do you think is the most guilty?
Armando as a player, but as a character, Dr. Nightshade, but as a character with future knowledge, because I'm going to make that play. It's actually the political rival who hired Dr. Nightshade.
That's what I'm working towards.
And Armando, who do you think at this time is the most guilty?
I think it is a conspiracy. I think there are multiple people involved. Because there is a theft. The statue was gone. The thread points me to Bonaventura always wear maroon. So I think he steal it, but I don't know if Dr. Nightshade was implicated, like he was trying to get them asleep before he come in and take the statue. But maybe it did not work on my father, or I'm putting it together, but I think it was him. They have the means and the opportunity and the motive. So to me, it is Bonaventura but I'm trying to be honorable about it. It could have been my doing. But the fact that the assassin don't come to me for 11 years to get payment, why?
Okay. Nasty.
Is there a card or do I just...
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Sorry. I was a little confused there. You receive an anonymous call or message about one of the suspects. What do they say? Do you believe them? Or a suspect tries to warn you about something. What are they trying to warn you about?
Would any of the political rival would
Bonaventura?
Yeah. I don't suppose he would have known Goblin.
Bonaventura is a devil and can read and write and speak every language.
I think perhaps we get a letter from him. Or perhaps the letter that initially came with that package. We can read it now. Well, I can't because I'm not an elf no more. But one of you two can read it. And when you read it, it says to essentially like check whatever weird gizmo had been in the package. So when we go to it, was there an actual explosion? I don't think there's a crater. Maybe there's sort of like soot.
No, the item is still there.
The item's still there. Mm-hmm. All right.
And I can read you what the note actually says in Goblin, if you wish.
Oh, that might not line up with what I was thinking. But
might
go
not.
ahead. Go ahead.
It might not.
I'm more interested in what it was, though. Let's go.
Okay. Says, open me quick. Don't be so thick. I show you things you never seen. Find out what's really done or nobody won.
Gotcha. Okay, now that's fine. So, yeah, open it quick.
Still work for you?
It still works for us. Okay. It doesn't mean open the package quick. Now that we've seen everything we saw, did everything we could back then, we figure out we can open this little gizmo. And inside this little gizmo, there's a silver fox statue. And at the base of it, it's covered in blood. This must have been what caused the blunt force damage to Mr. Medici, which kind of suggests that the poisoning was intentional to Mrs. Medici, and maybe whoever was responsible, which Mr. Nightshade had more or less confessed to that, but we don't know if he's entirely on the up and up there. But whoever had committed that clearly had some sort of confrontation with Mr. Medici, reached for the biggest thing they could find on shorthand, and struck him with it.
Nice. Okay. And you got this as this was the anonymous message,
inside,
essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Investigate, interview, or consult.
I think I'm going to further investigate this little statue. I think kind of wrapped around the kind of nooks and crannies, there's, at this point, long dried up, but there's little bits of plants and grass, and there's one single azalea petal, which suggests to me, and maybe you guys might think it's something more, but that this statue spent some time out in the Medici's garden, and maybe that's why the window was open, was to dispose of this weapon.
Excellent. All right. Anne, let me know if I drew the same card a second time. I kind of messed up my card stacks. You interview a suspect and discover they are related to the victim. Who is it and how are they related? Add it to the suspect's profile and the victim sheet. Or a suspect tells you where they were when the victim was murdered. Who is it? What do they say? And do you believe them?
We're in the present day, right? In the bar?
We are in the present day at the Fire-Breathing Kittens Guild Hall, but you may go and interview any suspect. I don't know that you can interview Dr. Nightshade simply because he is something of a phantom even today.
That's okay. So I was handing out gin and Fireball and vermouth and whiskey and rum and vodka and Coke. And I was like, mix whatever you want. We're experimenting and we're getting Sadie to live a little and to see that it's worth being outside. And someone from the back of the bar went, I'll take whiskey. Neat. They turn and accept a glass from me, and although at the moment I didn't recognize them, it was Bonaventura Halaby. So after the flash went off and all that, and we, time traveled and came back, they're sipping a 2-finger, right? I don't know much about whiskey. And they're...
Yeah, 2 fingers. That's good.
Yeah. And a suspect tells you where they were when the victim was murdered. Who is it? What did they say? Do you believe them? And I'm like, what? We just time traveled? Oh my gosh. We were there on the night that the bodies of the Contenzo, Blasno, Medici, whatever, were found. I got that as wrong as I could. And I was like, the player's very tolerant. And I was like, we were there. We saw their murdered bodies. We saw the blood splatter. I feel still like I haven't showered in 16 hours. Wow, that was crazy. At the bar, he perks up and he goes, oh, really? That's interesting. Fancy meeting you here. Tell me what you saw. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we were cops. We were investigating the scene. The son of the dude was there as like his butler. That's really messed up. Who would make their son their butler? And it was crazy, man. And the lemon of the husband had sent him a note. It was, man, I need to get Spongy in here. so go later in the episode. I'm just like, mix his vocab with modern terms, whatever. And he goes, tell me more. And I go, you seem pretty interested. Are you just like kind of going with the flow because you're spongy too? And he's like, yeah, that must be it. Surely you were not veiling yourself to the role of the investigator in that situation. And I share some Elliot's with him. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, veiling. And he goes, you would never have lowered yourself to investigate the crime scene like a common detective. I did, and I found some things. Our number one suspect, though, got away. It was some person named Bonaventura Halaby. I really wonder what happened to them. It's been 12 years. Maybe I should look them up. And he goes, you don't really need to. I'm right here. And I go, no way, it's you? That's really nice. I wonder if that's why the magic artifact exploded. What good timing for a time travel device. What good timing. Thanks for talking to me. You've been really nice. We think you're the one, not that it matters. We're friends with Armando. He hired the killers too. You joining the guild, honestly? Like, you also hiring people to kill Armando's parents? It seems like it's a thing for the members here. And he goes, I can't help you out there because... A suspect tells you where they were when the victim was murdered. Who is it? He says, unfortunately, I was in hell. You see, every time I get killed, this body perishes and my soul returns to hell. Whereupon, until I form a new deal with the new wonderful person in exchange for their soul, and they sign my book, I'm able to rise up from hell and again join this beautiful dimension. And he cheers at me with his 2 fingers of whiskey and, get a little tipply. But until that moment, I'm stuck in the bowels of the burning furnace. So I couldn't have done it. It wasn't me. That the week before the murder, I myself had been done in, and I was not present to kill them myself. And he says, I would swear to a truth test that the week before they were killed, I myself had been.
Excellent. All right. Armando. A suspect refuses to tell you their alibi. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Anne, one more question for you. And we didn't get your action. I'm so sorry.
I interviewed an existing suspect.
Well, because
I keep lumping those together, don't I? Yeah.
Your prompt was that he tells you where he was when the victim was murdered. Who is it? What do they say? So we got that. And do you believe him?
Oh, yeah, I believe him because, for you see, I had heard from the person as I escorted them that he said it was 3 months before, the 15th. And I heard, so I will, in the past, retrospectively interview an existing suspect of the butler. And I will say that I heard them say that it was 3 months before this date. And I'm like, no, it is the current month. And like, I wish I could insert my voice here. July, September, like, and I'm like, no, man, it's not the 15th of July. It's October. Don't you see the leaves falling? And you're like, I was what's his name?
Joseph.
Joseph Filosofano was like, I was held captive for 3 months. And I'm like, yeah, Joseph, it's October. The leaves are falling.
Can we say that when you go and actually interview Joseph in the modern day, that's something he had learned later?
Or we could say, as I clink whiskey glasses with Bonaventura, I smile while remembering that scene from 12 years before.
Okay. So that's your interview action.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Armando.
Yes.
A suspect refuses to tell you their alibi. Who is it and why are they refusing? Or you interview a suspect and discover they know another suspect. Who is it and how are they connected?
I will say I'll do the latter, that the suspect knows another suspect. And so I turn to talk to Bonaventura because he's right there drinking whiskey. And I say, hey, so you were running against my father. Why did I suppose you were in hell and that is why you did not win the election or you were not able to take office because clearly he died, so he could not take office. And in the course of conversation, he's very happy to tell stories about himself because he's very narcissistic, very similar to my father. And so what he lets slip is that he knows Dr. Nightshade, but he knows him as Jeff. And so he says, yes, my friend Jeff, or Dr. Nightshade, like he says, like he's trying to brag that he knows this guy. And as he talks more, it's like they've known each other for a very long time, like well before my parents were murdered. And it seemed like they found a common purpose or objective. And so it's a little too convenient that they're finding the same purpose around the time of my parents' death. And so that is making me feel very nervous. Although also filling me with relief because potentially it was not me.
All right. Excellent. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, Dr. Nightshade, knowing him wouldn't be that unusual for Bonaventura, who is a devil, because Dr. Nightshade probably sends a lot of people his way.
Absolutely. That he was bragging about it.
A lot of souls get collected by Dr. Nightshade.
And so
Excellent.
What I will do for my
your
action, I'm trying to say, I would like to interview Dr. Nightshade. And what I will do is I will talk to Bonaventura and say, hey, your friend sounds very interesting. Is it possible that you can have him join us at the bar and we could tell stories and really live it up? Look at this cart full of booze. I mean, it is outrageous. And he agrees. He's like, this is a very well stocked bar, better than any in town, thanks to, Anne's abuse of Sadie's bank account. And so he uses some kind of manipulation of his hands in a way, like he's casting a spell of sorts. But he says, it is done. And no sooner does he say that than a mysterious stranger walks through the door. And he is in a cloak, and he is hard to identify, but he goes, Bonaventura! And he's very excited to see his old friend. And who is it but Dr. Nightshade himself? And I am looking at him wide-eyed, like, I can't believe this is possible. And so in my interview phase, I will say, excuse me, sir, you would not believe the experience that my friends and I just had. We were sent back in time to a pivotal moment in this city's history. And it was the death of two prominent figures in political life. And I will not share that I am their son. Arturo and Maria Contenza Villasno de Medici. Do you know them? Are you familiar with this? What happened to them? And he does not answer directly, but a wicked smile crosses his face and his eyes like squint a little because there is a there is a joy that fills his body that is unnerving. Like the people around get chills, all of us, even Bonaventura. And he goes, yes, I remember that day quite well. And I guess that was the question. I should have asked a better question, but he's looking very guilty to me. But I'm freaking out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nasty, your prompt is to consult the other detectives. Which suspect had the best opportunity to kill the victim? Or consult the other detectives. Which suspect has the weakest alibi?
All right, and Armando, what are we thinking?
What?
Because, I mean, which one of them do you think actually, pulled the trigger? I got some theories bouncing around, but I got some theories bouncing around, but I want to hear what you say before I, start doing anything about him.
I've got something to share with you. Something I didn't have time before. Time ripped us to the present day. The secret is, I was bringing, what's his name? Joseph Arturo Filosofano up in his sweatpants to the crime scene. And I asked him some questions and he was talking like it was July. And I was like, dude, it's October. And that made me realize that he was kidnapped not a few days ago, but a few months ago. Which means that if Bonaventura Halavi was killed and departed off to hell and then came back, a week before the murder, he would have had plenty of time to hire Dr. Nightshade, who would have then had plenty of time to kidnap Joseph Arturo Filosofano. And then for 3 months beforehand, that letter that you found that linked Joseph to the Dr. Nightshade, that could have been Dr. Nightshade to himself planting evidence, leaving someone to blame, and he was setting up a patsy.
I'm thinking, because it's still weird that if it was him to himself or if it was Joseph to Dr. Nightshade, why was it in the desk? And I'm thinking the reason Mr. Medici got clubbed with that statue.
Sorry to point of order here.
Mechanics.
But, yeah, mechanics. Right. When you consult, even when the card tells you to do a consult, you're the last one to answer. So Armando needs to answer. And then you get to go. Sorry.
So I am finding out a lot of things today.
Family. You're not an only child.
Family I did not know I have.
Despite your attempts to kill off all of your family, you still have some, Armando.
I did not try to kill off all of my all of my known family. But the smile I receive from Dr. Nightshade is, I see that smile on the face of many men, and it is pure wickedness. He takes pleasure in the death of others. And I don't know why Bonaventura has a friend like this, what relationship they have, but it is clear to me that one or both of them is involved. Definitely, Bonaventura would have benefited from his death, even if he was in hell at the time of the murder. If he could arrange somebody to murder while he had a legitimate alibi, he would not be pinned, and therefore he could be city councilman. I really think somebody had the same idea as me. They were contracted to kill my parents because they stood in the way of their aspirations, even though my reasons are not they're not any better. But I think nobody had to go through with my task because it was already completed.
I mean, that sounds about right to me, both of what you said. Because there was that letter in Arturo Medici's desk, even though it wasn't addressed to him. I think he might have found that letter talking about the nightshade that was being given to his wife. But he might have been too late to, entirely intervene. And then when he confronted Joseph about it, or Joseph, who's Mr. Nightshade, I think that's when things went wrong with him. The only thing I'm not 100% on is why all this happened. Like you said, I think Dr. Nightshade definitely has a hand in it. I think the devil politician definitely had something to do with it as well, but I'm not sure what. I think we know what happened. We don't know why.
Okay. And then your action, Nasty?
I think for my action, I'm going to investigate this Mr. Politician a little harder now that we've got him here.
Is that an interview then?
I suppose it is an interview.
Okay. What do you learn?
So he's pretty liquored up. He's really enjoying himself. He hasn't cut loose in some time. And, you know, a loose tap promotes loose tongues. So, you know, I'm kind of making small talk, trying to roundabout way get to what I want to ask him, but he kind of launches right into it. Clearly, it's at the forefront of his mind. What with Anne relaying, oh yeah, we were like time cops. It was crazy. And then, you know, he's got his old buddy, Mr. Nightshade here as well. So clearly it's at the forefront of his mind. And now that it's on the tip of his tongue, he can't stop talking about it. It's like, yeah, I didn't always want to be a politician. Yeah, at first I got into it just kind of out of spite. I once made a deal with this guy, Medici or something. He wanted to be a politician. But when it came time to collect, he wouldn't pay up. So I started coming for what he owed me. So I was going to take his position, but he was a strong opponent. So first I went for his wife. I was going to, you know, kind of hold her hostage in hell until he gave me what he wanted. But, I mean, it all turned out all right in the end. You know, all's well that ends well. Or, you know, all's bad that ends bad, you know, because I'm a devil. But, you know, Mr. Nightshade over there kind of bungled things. It made it difficult for me to collect my due. And I'd asked him to do one simple thing, and he couldn't even do that. Okay. Yeah, something about, like, the wife had a sister that was making it difficult for me. She's some cleric or something. Big shot was kind of protecting them from me. That's why I had to work through an intermediary instead of just directly influencing them. This is good scotch. Where'd you get this stuff?
Okay.
The liquor store on 4th and 7th.
Anne, consult the other detectives. Which suspect has the biggest reason for wanting to kill the victim? Or consult the other detectives. Which suspect seems the most capable of killing?
I mean, the regular contract killer seems the most capable of killing. What was the other, what number is this?
So this is the King of Hearts, and it's a consult question. So rather than answer it yourself, you need to pick one. And
yeah, I'm definitely not going to answer the which suspect seems the most capable of killing. I'm going to have everybody in the group answer which suspect had the biggest reason for wanting to kill the victim.
And we'll start with Armando.
I would say it was either, honestly, me or Bonaventura. Like, the motives to me are very clear. Joseph, I don't see why he would kill him unless there was some kind of relation problem or inheritance problem or something like that. And Dr. Nightshade, sure, he's capable, but I don't see what he gets out of it. Like, what does he gain for killing them unless it is some kind of partnership with somebody else? So, like, to me, if he's partnered with Bonaventura, it makes sense. But if it's just on his own, it doesn't really make sense unless he just enjoys killing people, which could be the case. I don't know.
Or I should point out to everybody that Dr. Nightshade is a player character. Y'all knew that, right?
Of course we did. He's a terrible man. I mean, all respect, you know.
You are too.
I am slightly less terrible than Dr. Nightshade.
He is on the person of interest list with his consent.
Yeah. Oh no, of course he is. I'm just letting the players in this game know, that it's a player character.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything really wrong with being a killer for hire.
Yeah, it's just work. Wet work is work. Nasty. The same question goes to you. Which suspect has the biggest reason for wanting to kill the victim? This is a consult.
Really, I only see two options. There's Mr. Bonaventura, who is I don't know if I'd exactly call it a confession, but has basically said that he had business deals with Mr. Arturo Medici that kind of went south, didn't go his way, so he was kind of embittered there. That's clear motive. And something you were talking about, Armando, was just Mr. Nightshade's kind of twisted pleasure he got in remembering the times where he's, done someone in. I don't know if that's as strong as, sort of a revenge story, but clearly he does get something out of his work. Okay. My money personally would be on Mr. Bonaventura, but I'm not going to entirely rule out motive from that other guy either.
All right. Anne, what do you think?
Wait, did Armando's player go?
I'm sorry. Yeah, he did.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he said himself or Bonaventura have the most motive.
Okay. And Nasty's player said Bonaventura or?
Mm-hmm. Bonaventura or Nightshade.
Okay, so it sounds like both people agree that Bonaventura?
Yes, but what do you think?
It sounds like the majority vote is Bonaventura.
But you could have like a minority report and be the right one,
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll get to voting later, but who do you think has the most motive? Who does Anne think has the most motive?
I think the wife killed the husband because of the differences in death. Like, I get it that these people were going to die because they had so many people hiring them, like, to kill them and stuff like that. And I don't think Dr. Nightshade's actually to blame for any of this. You're just the tool. Sorry, Dr. Nightshade. He's going to hate hearing that. He's not going to listen to this. It's fine. Anyway, but, like, Armando wanted to kill his parents to protect his precious mentor. And Bonaventura wanted to kill the parents to protect his precious political station. But the fact that they died at two different times means that's not actually what went down. What actually went down is one of them killed the other, and then the killer stumbled upon the scene. Like, if they died at the same time, sure, it was the killer. But they died at different times, right, Armando?
That is what I discovered when I examined my mother and the blood splatter.
Yeah. Who died first?
It seemed like it was the wife.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But
all right, so officially the husband got sick of the wife got sick of the side. No, order of operations. The wife got sick of the side chicks. The husband got sick of the wife. The society got sick of the husband. That's how it went down.
The math works.
PEMDAS.
Right. And then Anne, take an action, investigate, interview, or consult.
Yeah. Okay. I'm investigating the victim. No, we can't do that anymore because it's hearts. What can I do?
You can investigate physical clues if you can justify how you got to them. So maybe in the course of Armando's lawyer helping with his case, you might have access.
All right, so you may no longer investigate the victim's body. You may still discover new things about the victim, but you're unable to search the body for clues. So what I will search for is the will. I want to know who inherited money from this dad. How many love children did this dude have? I just want to know if the wife was to justify her rage. Were there half siblings?
Definitely.
And I read the will. It sounds like this is a generate it for yourself sort of thing. And I find that this dude has listed like letters of the alphabet. It turns out that Armando was A because that was his first son. And what is his name? Joseph is actually Joseph. G. So that was A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That was his seventh kid. And he hit 28 and got the snip because he was like, I can't keep naming them all. But actually, when the will comes out, one of the reasons why Armando is so poor is that the money got so fractured that Armando got 1/27th or 28th of it. And there's many kids.
We can also assume that not all of the children were findable by Arturo as well. Like, he may just not have known.
Yeah, the named ones are 28. How many more were there? Armando, that's why you're so poor. The will was improperly done. He should have done like a Jane Austen style entail where only one child gets 90% of the estate and everyone else can split the 10% remaining. But unfortunately for you, he did a true inheritance, and that, not the children, is why the wife was mad. Because her money / her husband's money was supposed to go to her child, Armando, and to give up 99% of your inheritance to the other children. And then she found out about the credit cards that he took out in your name. Oh man, that's why she was mad.
Do we have evidence she was mad, or is this just speculation?
We have the will.
This
And we
is
have
a clue. The will is now an established clue.
Okay.
Yeah. Armando, sorry, dude. You get about $100.
Armando.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm astonished with this will to know that I have so much family. I'm kind of encouraged a little bit. Like, I know my parents were pretty terrible people, and to know that I was the legitimate heir of my father is a burden. But at the same time, like, the people, my half siblings, probably did not have to deal with the emotional manipulation that my parents subject me to. So I have blood out there that I can find, and maybe they are like me. I don't know. Maybe they are fighting for a better tomorrow, or maybe they are just like my parents. I don't know. It's very mixed. Like, this has been several bombshells in a row for me, and I can see the clues. Like, as I hear my fellow detectives putting it together, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, my mother, as cruel as she was with me, she always claimed to want the best for me, like, exclusively to the detriment of the people around me. And so I went to the best schools and had the best clothes, and other people would suffer as a result, which always made me very sad. And she would not care at all. And so that is in her nature. And so this will, being the way it is, would have infuriated my mother. And I think that would have been a tipping point for my father. Because he is okay with the cooperation of my mother. Like, they are good partners as long as they are getting what they want. But when anyone opposes them, even if it is their spouse, they will not hesitate to step all over them, or maybe worse, like anything. So I am coming to terms with the reality of what probably happened.
It was probably a mistake, right? Like, he looked at her dead body and sobbed and dressed her in pajamas and staged the scene, and then the killer found them, right? The killer didn't stage the scene. The killer was not apologetic. It was your father who was apologetic at what he had done to his long-term life partner, the woman who in the end was about to leave him.
Okay. We have one more card left. Armando.
Yes.
And then we will actually decide who is going to be charged with the crime. So, Armando, then we get the coroner's report. The coroner rules that the time of death, or you receive it somehow, rules that the time of death was between blank and blank, or the coroner eliminates a possible cause of death. You decide.
I will, so for ages, I thought that they were stabbed to death. But after seeing the evidence myself, and then the coroner report, we are able to access via the database that the town guard has. And
yeah, you're able to get the records. It's 11 years old. And also, again, you have access to some of this evidence because you're wearing an orange jumpsuit for this crime. So.
Yes. And so, like, I'm able to inform my lawyer of what happened, and they are pursuing legal action to exonerate me based on this. And so, when they are able to pull the record, the coroner clearly state that neither was killed by stabbing. The stabbing in both cases was post-mortem. So it is clear that the wife was poisoned and the husband was...
You can only eliminate one.
Oh, sorry. They were not stabbed.
They were not stabbed. Okay. All right. So
before
and
death,
then
they were plenty stabbed after death.
Oh, yes. That's not how they die.
And
They were
then
stabbed.
Armando, investigate, interview, or consult.
Oh,
There will be There will be an action, a consult after this, where we will ask everybody who they think did it, how, and why. So you don't have to consult for that.
Okay, so what I would say is my action will be investigate the coroner report. And so it was clear that stabbing was eliminated, but investigating the coroner report, I am able to glean that my mother was poisoned. And I also, because it is in the same report, that the husband, my father, was killed with blunt force trauma to the head. And they occurred hours apart.
Okay. All right. So now we have a final consult. Each detective succinctly explains which suspect they think murdered the victim, how they committed the murder, and why. And this is in 2 sentences or less. We will start with Nasty. Which suspect do you think murdered the victim, how they committed it, and why?
Well, going off of their own testimonies, I believe it was a combination effort between, I forgot how to say his name,
Bonaventura.
And Dr. Nightshade. Namely, through Bonaventura hiring Dr. Nightshade to collect on his debts from the Medicis, and then it went wrong, resulting in the death of both of them.
Okay. Anne.
I agree. I think the poison tea was something that Arturo was taking on purpose to train himself against poison, and when his wife went one step too far, he, in a moment of rage, slipped her the tea and smiled as she drank it. But as she died, he felt regret. He staged her body, and it was when he was in the process of making it, look nice that he himself was killed.
Armando.
That is almost precisely what I was going to say. I think there was an intersection of events where my father's killer was Nightshade on behalf of Bonaventura, but my mother was killed by my father.
Okay. And now we would vote. So please vote. State who you want to charge with this crime.
That's complicated.
Yeah, that is...
If it all has to be heaped on one person's head, I'm voting Mr. Bonaventura over there in the corner, who's getting pretty tipsy.
I mean, he can pay the life cost without all that much recompense.
To me, it's...
Yeah, but devils are spiteful.
Who's gonna flip on the other guy easier? So, like, if we say Bonaventura, is he a snake and he's gonna turn on Nightshade and we get them both? Or Dr. Nightshade so cold, like, he don't care. Yeah, I killed him, and that's the end of the story. Bonaventura gets away. Nice and easy. I say Bonaventura.
Okay. Anne?
I'm never going to charge a fellow guild member with murder. So of the 2 out of the 3 are my fellow guild members. I'm going to go with the one that isn't.
So you're going to charge Bonaventura?
Yeah, with the punishment of sentencing to death.
Well, and I'm gonna leap in here and make this a little bit Deus Ex here. Bonaventura, when you make these accusations, seems a little surprised, and says, well, they can't convict a dead man. And he says, Nightshade, take care of this. Nightshade throws a dagger across the room. It embeds itself into Bonaventura's neck. Bonaventura goes up in a cloud of smoke to be sent back to hell.
Oh, the body dies. The body is dead here.
Yeah. And in that confusion, Dr. Nightshade slips away.
He was here the whole time, you guys. Who do you think Noosey was?
Debs, he ain't getting this knife back.
You've been listening to the Fire-Breathing Kittens with Nasty.
Hey, thanks for listening.
And
to go now to a bosky area to relax after the crime investigation. That's number 10 out of 10, baby.
Armando.
I really hope there are like security cameras or something that capture this whole scene for my exoneration.
We've been playing 24-Hour Crime Scene by William Long at longgames.itch.io. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.